Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. This time it's the Mixed LABR Draft live stream, except sort of live because we jumped in and started the third round. We'll talk about our picks throughout the draft. We got Jason Collette with us. Zola's going to jump in. We might get Ryan Roof or other RotoWire folks jumping in throughout the case. We are looking forward to having a fun time. Hopefully you join us and sharing your comments and your reactions. We'll have a lot of fun with this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. It's also known as the Mixed LABR Draft live stream. We are in the third round. Fred Zinkie has just taken his third pick. He called his shot, so he took one guy in the second, knowing he'd get another guy in the third. Fred, what'd you do?
Sure. So I started with Jose Ramirez at pick 2. Zach Steinhorn, who was picking first, took Trey Turner. When it came to me on the turn, I kind of wanted Whit Merrifield, but I guessed that Zach probably wouldn't want to start his draft with Trey Turner and Whit Merrifield. Steals are scarce, but that's like 60 plus on his first 2 picks. So I took a chance that he wouldn't want and maybe 2 not super power guys for this point in the draft. So anyways, long story, kind of long. I took Teoscar Hernandez at pick 29, correctly guessed that Zach wouldn't take Whit Merrifield, and then took Merrifield at pick 32.
Nice. So you've got ample speed between J-Ram, Teoscar, and Merrifield. You're pretty well set.
Yeah, I should be able to just kind of chip away, right, the rest of the way. Like that's, I don't know, let's just guess 25-ish for Ramirez, 30-ish for Merrifield. That's 55. Throw in another 10 to 15 from Teoscar. You know, I'm at 65, 70 steals already. So
which could have won a league.
Yeah.
Steals the way they're going this year.
Yes.
Actually, 60 should easily get you in the top half.
Yeah, it actually might. So now I feel like I have no pitchers, bit of a problem. But I feel like,
I know you don't feel, but see, I don't think you view it as a problem. I know you say it's a bit of a problem, but I think you're just being politically correct.
No, I do. I'll be honest. If I wasn't picking, there's a weird gap in 15-team leagues around the 2-3 turn where there just aren't a lot of pitchers. Now, Zach jumped up and took Nola, whose ADP is more like 40-ish, late 30s. So he went and took him at 31. I don't have a problem with that at all. But if you look at the NFBC ADP list, for example, after like Wheeler, Scherzer, Woodruff, after those guys, DeGrom, after those guys go, it's about pick 25. From about 25 to the late 30s, there's only Shane Bieber. So if you're not a Bieber believer, then
he's gone now too.
He did go. There's not. I think if I pick really early, it's hard to take. If you pick really early, it's hard to find where you're going to take that pitcher. If you pick in the middle or at the end, I think it's fine. Like there's lots of pitchers in the second round that go in the middle. You could take Cole in the first round in the middle. You take Burns. I think it's defensible. So I didn't love that. I do like picking early for just the overall. I liked getting Jose Ramirez. I think that's all good, but I don't love the pitcher fit if you pick early, which is actually really important.
Yeah, I hear you on that. It is interesting to kind of try to play that out a little bit there and figure it out. But I mean, in this league, they're not going crazy over pitching. They're not going crazy over starters. I'm about to make my pick here in the third round.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're up, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm just debating between Bogaerts and Story. I like them both at this spot. But
yeah,
I'm going to go
Bogaerts. Steals are a little better batting average.
Where the other's going to play yet?
Yeah, I know Bogaerts is going to be in a good lineup, and that's going to be the key thing for me here. I don't know where Story's going to end up. We know it's not Texas. We know it's probably not Colorado, and that's about it. So I'm going Bogaerts here. It's refreshing that this is not a closer crazy draft. That Hader and Hendricks went at 35 and 37 respectively.
Gosh, it still feels a little crazy. Or not crazy, like at value.
Yeah.
So I looked it up today. I don't know, Jeff or Jason, if either of you guys looked at the 2021 LABR Mixed League draft, but the first closer, do you want to guess what pick number the first closer was in last year's draft?
I would say somewhere like late third, like the 3-4 turn.
60. Pick 60.
Wow,
The 4-5 turn.
turn.
The 4-5 turn. I think it was Alan
A little
Harrison
bit of perspective.
double dipped Hendricks Hader. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. And then in the AFL Writers League, Hendricks went 31 and Hader went 34, which is essentially chalk over the last month by ADP draft champions.
So this room has at least adjusted to that new norm.
Yeah. I guess I spent, and this isn't a draft and hold league. It's a fab league. It's a trade league. So obviously it plays a little differently. We don't have as much pressure to get the saves.
Right, and it's worth noting for those listening who aren't familiar with, is this also the one where you can't reserve a guy that you've drafted, or does that only apply to the AL and NL like I've got to deal with?
This is not that.
Okay.
We can do whatever.
Right, so never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the AL next weekend when I'm doing AL, and we have the AL and the NL, you have the added factor of if you draft a guy, you can't bench him unless he gets sent to the minors. So it is kind of a draft and hold in that regard, where it's like you got to play him or you got to cut him. And so it becomes a bit of a different draft strategy when you're looking at guys, especially in the end game, which way you're going to go on some of that, because you've got to can I carry this guy all season if I have to?
Right.
I hate the
Jeff, I got to say, I like your start from pick 10 a lot. I'm just getting caught up now.
Got my first your start. I love it. Nice.
Yeah. So
Alan Sislowski likes to give me a hard time about that all the time. Love your start. So there you go.
So I might have taken Cole, but Tucker I like as much as any hitter who was on the board when you picked, and I think Woodruff's great. I like him as much as any pitcher on the board. Bogarts isn't going to let you down. I think it's good.
Really good. James Anderson joining us here. What's going on, James? How you doing?
Hey guys,
fun draft jumping in. It's going to be a little bit of a party here. We got a lot. It is a bit of a party. Pete Alonso just went. A lot of people loving Pete Alonso. I was thinking maybe I get one of those first basemen in that tier at the turn in 4. I don't love early first baseman, but I don't mind Alonso or Olsen there. I don't think I'd go Abreu, and I'm not sure I'll go Goldie, although I like the steals. What do you guys think about that? Or do you just wait on first baseman?
I can jump in and answer that first. I don't mind waiting, that's for sure. Like if I'm going to take an early first baseman this year, he has to be like the highest guy on my list. If he's the highest guy on my list and it's clear, I'll take him. If there's someone else with him, I might take the other guy.
Yeah, I was trying to look at where I've taken some first basemen on my profile on what I have. I seem to be waiting on them from what I can tell. Multiple shares of Dahlbeck, Josh Bell I have in 2 different leagues, and I've taken them 123, 135. So that seems to be somebody who's ended up on my team. And that's kind of been it. So it's been a Dahlbeck and Bell show for me as I look through what I've drafted so far this year as my starting first baseman.
Yeah, I've been waiting a while as well. I usually get like Mancini or Crone or someone like that.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Mancini just because the park changes, but I'll wait too. I mean, I've gotten Crone, I've gotten Gurriel, who I love for the batting average. I like Votto even. I know he won't do what he did last year, but I think he'll still be good. And I even don't mind even going like super late and getting like Nathaniel Lowe or someone in that range too. I don't mind doing that. If I wait, I want to get a second one. Whatever. If with those middles and corners, if you wait on one of the two, get 2 of the weaker one.
Yeah. I took Lowe at like 243, and that's one that Eno was talking to me. They got Donnie Ecker, the guy that went the Giants hitting coach, went to Texas, did some work. They're like, oh, he's going to, tap into some things with Lowe. And I'm like, they can teach him how to hit velocity. That'd be great. And it's been a struggle for his career. Anything waste up on velocity has really been problematic. Same thing applies to his brother. You look at a lot of the home runs that Josh hit last year, a lot of it was on stuff down. And so be curious to watch Josh as he gets to the major leagues this year. If he gets attacked the same way the former Nate, now Nathaniel did, because that's really where it happened. He came up, hit the ground running, and then the league figured out he couldn't hit velocity up, and that's all he got. And he, look at the numbers over the last couple of years, and they're not great on him. But if you make a mistake down, Lowe has been able to hit it very well.
Oh, Wander Franco just goes. There's been no debate about his draft position at all. So,
No,
but I'll admit, I'm surprised it's Rudy Gamble that's taking him there.
Yeah, I would agree. I definitely would agree.
I thought it'd be Joe Sheehan at 4.1, to be honest with you. Or Alan Harrison, who's up on the clock right now.
Randy Rosarena. Here comes a little bit of a Rays run.
Yes. Yeah. About time. No, I mean, honestly, it's good that Joe went the safer route with Lindor, because I believe it was last year that Joe had 2 big misses out of it. It was either night. He was writing about in his newsletter today. It was one of the last 2 years. He said I had 2 big misses right out of the gate, and I think he probably, if we asked him, we're like, hey, did you consider Franco there at 4-1? He probably did, but then he was like, you know what? Let me go the safer route, and Lindor's safer. Somebody with Lindor in 2 different leagues. I've had that same decision. I've gone Lindor both times.
It's interesting. I do like Lindor there. I think he's going to get you some speed. I'm going to do a little bit of flag planting here, guys. Not usually a flag planter, but I love Will Smith. I like drafting one early catcher.
Which one?
The catcher version.
Okay.
Is
it's going to be a little aggressive on the closer.
Little
aggressive. What about a flag plant? That's for sure.
Yeah. That's more like a face plant. But, which I'm also. I'll leave those to Jason. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Hey, he could get more saves than the closers who have gone so far. So we all know that, right? So
yeah. But I like early catchers, and I especially like, with the universal DH, I think Smith's just going to hit a lot more than get more at bats than he's had in previous years. He's always in the middle of the lineup. I'm really high on him.
Yeah.
Every year I say I'm going to draft an early catcher. The earliest catcher I've taken so far is Varsho, 7th round.
I hate Varsho this year. I know that's going to. I don't hate. No, that's too strong. But I just don't like the price. I need to dig on him. I admitted today on the show I need to dig more on him on the stats because I understand the appeal of stolen bases from the spot is nice. I just don't know if he can hit.
In fact, I took him 93rd in the Riders League. In our league, that's where I took him. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but I remember somebody jumped in and snaked me right before, and I was like, "Ugh, fine, I'll just take the catcher." He's like, I didn't like anything else there, so I said, "Let me try this." But most of the time, I end up waiting on catcher.
Guys, I was going to bring our attention to the risk portfolio of one Mike Podhorzer. Ronald Acuna Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr., who has one knee, Jacob deGrom, who has barely one elbow that he needs, Salvador Perez, totally safe, although everyone says early catcher not safe, but safe, kind of. And now Adalberto Mondesi, the icing on the risk factor cake. It could all work out. I'm not saying those guys are all awesome. Well, they could be all awesome players.
I mean,
that's an awesome risk portfolio right there.
That's a full projections roster, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's strictly
a Steamer 600. That's a Steamer 600 roster.
So James, you are though not the Mondesi guy. I'm sorry but you are the Varsho guy as well. I don't know. You don't mean to be the Varsho guy, but I know you've taken him a couple times.
I'm happy to be the Varsho guy. Actually, I didn't really think it would come to this, but I mean, I think he's their second best hitter. I think he's going to hit second or third all season and play every day. So I think it's really appealing.
Yeah, I can see it. And second half, was a lot more encouraging. So maybe he can hit. Maybe I'm just holding my previous bias against him, if you will, against him here now. So I don't know. That's possible.
Fair enough. And so, talking about builds, the other one, looking at Dr. Roto's team, he doesn't have a stolen base through 4 rounds.
Well, it's not an overall contest, so
0.
Yeah, when you look at getting blatted in 3 pitchers.
Oh no, he has Ohtani.
Well, I guess you have to declare him in this league. Yes.
Yeah, so he's got some steal. He's got steals with Ohtani.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you think about Ohtani where you took Woodruff?
I didn't. And then I was like, after the fact, I'm like, maybe I should have. It was weird that, and in fact, I even kind of was like, "Oh, there goes Ohtani." I never see him that late. I think maybe I had a little brief, synapse not firing there. It's just like, okay, that's not a guy that's available usually at 21. It's usually he's somewhere like between 8 and 15. But I also was kind of set on getting a starter. And I just think of Ohtani as a hitter because I'm almost always going to use Ohtani as a hitter when I draft him. I guess there are 2-start weeks when you should be using him and things like that. But so many times the Angels didn't give him that second start in a given week that I just wouldn't trust using him as a starter.
All right, that's got to be an error. Not your pick, but the fact that Trevor Bauer just went.
Well, it is. And in fact, in the draft room, that's got that little lightning bolt thing. That means it was an auto draft.
Are we pausing this? Is Steve pausing this? Because I'm up. Oh,
of course you are.
It's paused now because the clock stopped in a minute.
I'm not tipping my hand in case this Trevor Bauer pick.
We know Eloy Jimenez is going to go before you because Tim took him. If not, if that was Andrea's, if that's who she was going to take instead of Bauer.
Yeah, true that. Good sleuthing, Jason. Nothing gets past you.
Nope, strategic. Educated. James, I've been digging through your top 400. I'm in a draft where I'm in the minor league portion of it trying to fill, and I was ranting to these guys earlier. I had Taj Bradley all set, guy right before me takes him. I'm like, I quit.
Has he come through any of the spots you go to?
Not yet.
No.
Nope. I'm only seeing video and listen to interviews of him, and he just reminds me so much of Chris Archer and his makeup, except that he has a changeup, and so it's like that's what I'm excited to see. Excited to see him pitch.
She is sticking with.
She says, "I'm good. I will roll with
Trevor Bauer."
I think she's trying to do that for the good of the league.
Yeah, we could have undone that pretty easily, unless she believes that if Bauer pitches this year, like all year.
I mean, there's a pathway to profit there. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. If Bauer had finished last season, he'd be going in the second round right now.
Would he have done the auto pick, or would that have come from her queue?
I think that came from her. It would have come from her queue, I think, because he's. I can see he's not the auto pick guy at the top. That is Lance Lynn.
You just took closer 3, Raisel Iglesias, which pick 59 in the NFBC universe would be like grand theft closer.
Yes, it would.
Here it's like kind of early.
Fair or normal.
Not early, but you know what I'm saying, compared to last
closer,
year.
right around now. Oh, so I guessed. So
you're starting the next run. Yeah.
Well, so I guessed that maybe Steinhorn would want a closer because he didn't have any. Mm-hmm. So I decided to grab the one I wanted before we got into the turn. Now we'll see if he steals the other guy I was going to take. I will reveal in about 30 seconds, but that was my thinking, was that he didn't have a closer. There's 2 guys I want on this turn. One was Iglesias. So I feel like Iglesias is just really safe. Like he's got the job, the contract. He's got a manager who likes to have a closer.
It's funny. He had none of that last year.
No.
Sorry, he had Madden. That was the one thing he did have.
He had Madden. That was big for him. Right. So and I think he's a pretty good pitcher.
Yeah, he had his flaws in Cincinnati, ballpark and whatnot in the walks, and honestly, that's how I view Knebel this year too. Same kind of profile, has the strikeouts, has some walks, but now he's pitching for a manager who does like to stick with a single guy, and that's one of my flag plants that I've been doing in leagues is grabbing Knebel. But I agree, like Iglesias, it's just funny how the mind shift has changed on him. Where last year everybody was like, "Oh God, I guess he's like my last option" type of thing, and now he's being targeted.
That's a really deep dive to go into their marital status there. I'm impressed, but yeah, kind of creepy, but it's cool. No, I think it's good logic. I heard you talking about Knebel on the pod too, with that you did with Clay and Todd on Friday.
Yeah,
so good stuff there.
I did end up correctly guessing that Zach would not want to take the risk on Chris Sale since he already had Aaron Nola, or at least that would be less likely. He actually did end up taking a pitcher. He took Jose Barrios. I thought he would take a hitter on that turn. So
if it doesn't work out for you, you can blame it on Barrios.
That's right. So, Sale was my goal on that turn was Iglesias Sale, and it worked out. So when I complain later that something didn't work out, you can remind me that this turn it did work out.
Okay, good. So we're starting to see the next run of starters going here. Barrios, Sale, Gossman, all in a row. Again, it's a lot more. You're going to run out of hitters a little bit quicker in this draft, I think, than NFBC. If you've been playing draft and holds, or any draft and hold, really, I think it's a little bit of a different environment.
Yes, I did have to try to take my draft and hold hat off. I think I'm done draft and holds for. Oh, I'm not, because I'm in the Tout Wars with you, James. God, James, I'm giving away all my tips right now. I'm in the draft and hold with you in a few days. Okay, so that'll do it for me for today.
I think, James, you're in AL LABR next weekend, right?
Yep.
Yes, yes, you and me.
Yep, that'll be fun.
I'm curious to see how Podhorse is going to add to his risk build here. Who are we missing that we could put on this team? Prediction for his fifth round.
Buxton, easily.
There you
easily
go.
Buxton would be great, yeah. Buxton, and then he could start getting into the bounce back guys like Bellinger and Yelich, Bregman, Rendon. Oh, he just fill his team.
Run away with it all.
Like the Steamer 600 guys and the 2018, 2019-ish All-Stars.
If you get Bellinger and Yelich, you get bellyache, right?
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of Bellinger, though. I got to say, James, you kind of forced me to think about that early when I jumped on the podcast with you. Forced me to think I do like Bellinger at that price. If he goes around 100 again, I'll probably be there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much he shoots up boards if he gets off to a good start in spring training. I think him and Yelich both could climb like 20, 30 picks of ADP.
Yeah, I think so too. That's the thing. We called it. It's Buxton that goes. That is
there awesome. It is. Amazing.
Steering into the risk. I love it. I mean, ADP is like 61, so I mean, it's not a shock that he goes there. It's just interesting to see him go for him. All right, I'm up. I'm debating whether I go another hitter or go starter here, but I don't know. I think I can get no. You know what? Screw that. I'm taking the best available closer here, and that's Emmanuel Clase. I don't want to take a chance that he's not available on the way back.
I would agree with that.
Now it's time for me. Yeah, time for me to tell you that Emmanuel Clase was the highest ranked pitcher on my list remaining.
Yeah, I saw that, and I know I know that gets approval from James too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean the Will Smith Clase back to back. I love that. That.
And I know closers are a little cheaper here. I don't want to be like. I know you can trade. I know you can fab. I traded well last year, but I don't want to be dicking around too much with that. I want one good one here, and then.
So that was my thinking. I got into that last year where you could say I was dicking around with like all my closer spots, and it wasn't. I did not enjoy that.
No.
So I'll get my guy and then maybe play value if I'm going to get someone else.
You could have made an argument for Diaz or another closer, but I'm pretty
so dominant down. The second half, he barely walks anybody, doesn't give up any home runs.
Right.
And now he's going to have Francona back in the saddle all season, hopefully, rather than having to deal with a rookie manager. And honestly, to that point, that's something else I would bring up as folks look at, as we've talked about speed and how it dries up. Francona loves to run, and Francona was gone in all of August and September. He was basically done by July 25th, I think it was. And so if you look at Kansas City, look at Cleveland and their ability and their stolen bases, I think the projections on them may be a bit low with him and his lead foot back in the saddle.
Yeah. So Ketel Marte goes, Altuve goes. Next tier, second baseman. I'm very comfortable waiting on second base. So is my dog Harley, apparently. But Jazz Chisholm, the James Anderson Memorial pick 2.0. There. And being in league with Rudy Gamble is pretty good company. I don't think I'm in there. It was interesting listening to you and Rob Silver on that podcast going back and forth on Jazz, though. I liked listening to that. That was good content.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't love being on the opposite sides of Rob on a guy, but I feel pretty firm about that one.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know your guys, right?
Let's see. Now I'm going to start looking at some other people's boards. So Alan Harrison does not have a pitcher yet. Robert Machado, Olson, Austin Riley, Ketel Marte. Is he the only drafter without a pitcher? Yes, but Ryan Bloomfield has no starters.
Yeah.
So Ryan and Alan are the only ones with no starters. Alan has no pitchers at all. Wait, Joe Sheehan is right off. Yep, yeah, he's a pitcher. He's just off my screen.
Yeah.
Now he's got two pitchers.
I think I'd like Allen's build a tiny bit more if he had just a bit more speed. If you're going to go 5 hitters, like he's getting speed from Robert Machado, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Totally, yeah. Yeah, so he'll have to have. Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does. He's going to have to obviously invest heavily in pitching at some point soon, and then he's going to have some late speed.
I mean, Chisholm would have been a good fit for him over Marte there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe someone like Tommy Edman, who I know some people really don't want to draft this year because he's not an awesome hitter, but he would have fit with that group, maybe. Yeah, like assuming that he doesn't, like he's not kind of on his do not draft list.
I'm wondering if this is. I was wondering what Joe was debating and what he was going to do.
Well, I can tell you, it wouldn't be a closer. He's outright declared he won't take a closer, and he always
really
follows that.
Yeah, he's like Doug Dennis in that regard.
Yeah, he's even Joe. Joe kind of lets his principles get in the way of good drafts sometimes, I think. But
Joe.
So Joe's a full punt on saves. Is that his deal, or is he going to fab saves?
No, it's fab and ace reliever guys. He just doesn't think it's worth the price, and he's right that technically they don't earn that value, but it's not. He's only partially right.
Yeah, I think the ones that get the high 30 saves and 4 or 5 wins and good ratios and 100 strikeouts, I think they do earn. I think on the calculators, that's not my fully my jam making those value calculators at the end of the season, but I think they do earn a ton of value. I don't know. They come out pretty high on my SGPs. That's for sure.
Joe's going to be the home of Joe Barlow, Dylan Floro, that group.
No, he'll be on Anthony Bender. He won't be on Dylan Floro.
Oh, okay.
He will be it's all about skills, not role. I think that's his whole point too. Pat Lewis says maybe get Straw for late speed. He's definitely someone I've taken a couple times before. There's been no shortage of discussion about his merits. I think it's good time to bring that up because Tommy Edman just went, and that's kind of in the same sort of category of player. Always, okay, are we starting to think about Straw here fairly soon? And I will need a little bit more speed. Without a doubt, I don't have enough speed as it is. I think I need about 100 to 120 stolen bases. That's the range I'm hoping to end up with. Obviously, I only have a couple of, I don't have a whole lot. I have Kyle Tucker runs. Bogart's not going to get me more than 10. Smith might give me 1 or 2. I definitely need to find some stolen bases, but there's some to be found. We'll find.
I mean, Straw has been going towards the end of the 8th round into the early 9th round is where he's been sitting over the last month.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of steadily. It's crazy, but I think that's market dynamics about what's happening this year because he can't hit. He's just not a good hitter, but when he does get on base, he does like to run. And to my earlier point, Francona does like to use guys and let them run. So yeah, I get it. He is in that part of the draft by ADP. He stands out as the speed option. If you're through your first 7-8 rounds, you're like, God, my team's slow. He's kind of it. He really is the guy everybody's been looking at.
Yeah. So I'm going to get a starting pitcher here. My debate is which one. I've got 4 guys in my queue, and I thought maybe someone would make the decision for me, but no, they all took hitters and relievers, so they're not really helping me a whole lot here. I'm going to end up taking Freddie Peralta and go Brewers, I guess. But
Nice.
It was a toss-up between he and Lance Lynn, I thought.
Isn't it kind of cool not to have to worry about league-type pitchers anymore? Like, oh, this guy pitches in the American League, this guy's National League. He's just a pitcher.
Yeah, I got to remind myself, though, that I not getting any benefit by having another NL pitcher. That's kind of the important thing there a little bit. But
I think there is still a benefit to me to being in the NL Central.
Agreed, 100%.
Yes.
Especially when you see the Pirates on the schedule. That's
going to be a no-hitter watch, like just about every game.
Honestly, my Reds are going to be a K machine too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Cubs, Reds, Pirates. I mean, and then like even for the two best teams in the division, the Brewers and Cardinals aren't like loaded offenses.
Brandon Lau is way too healthy for Podhorser's team. Way too healthy. Well, that was 3 quick picks. Boom, boom, boom.
Wow, Fried. Well, that was pretty nice there, actually. That's a pretty good price on him. Max Fried, the only reason I had a hard time letting Fried go is because he helped me win last year. That trade, I traded Votto for Fried late, and he was, suffice to say, awesome during the last 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, it was.
Which starter is Bloomfield going to take?
Too early for Valdi.
Trevor Rogers.
What are we drinking, James?
A Cabernet.
Nice.
Swanson. That's fair price for Dansby Swanson.
Oh, that's an early price for Dansby. I mean, I'm mad because I love Dansby, and I'm glad he's getting the respect he deserves, but still, he's been going like 110, 120 in the NFBC. Maybe I got to get out of that mentality because so many more pitchers and closers are getting pushed up, but here they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, computer went to dark mode there. It's like,
you guys said the Pirates offense is going to be good, right? Because I just drafted Brian Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds. Yeah, he's it.
Well, you don't have to worry about where he's going to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he got some fake goggles and a fake mustache or something like that, maybe he can hit in 2 spots in the lineup. So I did the same thing here. Just like commentary that Zach on the turn has 3 pitchers and 2 hitters. So I'm going to guess that he's not going to take a pitcher on this turn. So I wanted a pitcher. If Zach's team was built a little differently, I would have taken a pitcher and tried to let Reynolds go through the turn. But instead I went the other way around. So we'll see if I'm right or not.
It's one of the areas one of the things I do like about picking towards the end like that, to be able to predict what's going to happen in between. Like I mentioned, I've picked Fried twice now, and to be able to figure out, to look at those other teams, be like, oh, I'm going to take this guy. It's one thing you have to consider when you're doing these things is take a look at the roster. Because I know some folks just like to draft off paper and worry about their own team, but you got to look at what other people are doing and it helps formulate your own pick.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I like the strategy there. Sometimes it's hard to stay on top of it, but just it's one more thing to pay attention to. But it's also easier to pay attention to it when you're on the ends like that and you're next to the turn.
Yeah, I'm basically paying attention to one guy, right? And that's
like
like
all you can control.
Yeah.
I hate being on 2 though in a slow draft with the 4-hour window because then you get people. At least this happened to me at least twice in TGFBI where I make my pick on 2.
He took my guy. He took my
nice.
Oh.
A little reaction. I mean, sorry, Fred. I mean, tough break.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I just acted right out. Like I couldn't hold that one in. So Zach actually took the next two guys on my list, which were Frankie Montas. That was the pitcher I was going to take, and JD Martinez. So now I will take Dylan Cease instead.
Where are you on the Dylan Cease? Because he seems to be a very polarizing. There are people that love him. There are, like, I would say I'm in the love him camp. I know Nick Pollock has been very questionable about Cease's fastball command, which I won't argue. But we were just commenting earlier about being in the Central. Either one of them is a good thing to have. And he's on a team with a lot of run support. He's on a team that has a good bullpen, and he's going to pitch a bunch. And so when I look at him as a guy who should fall into a number of wins, and he already has the strikeouts. And if he gains some more command, all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, he could be really good this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not the Dylan Cease guy. I think I have him ranked like just competitively. So
I am 100% agnostic on Dylan Cease. I recognize the strikeouts. It's hard if you're chasing Ks, you got to go after him because it's humongous upside. If you're trying to protect ratios, you stay away from him. I think that's pretty much it.
I don't think there's any reason for Luis Castillo to go ahead of Dylan Cease.
I'm scared of Louis. The cold weather thing's one, but he also got fewer swings and misses off that changeup, which is his bread and butter. People aren't chasing his changeup. It's a problem.
Interesting. So I was looking at. Sorry, are you talking about Giolito right now?
No, we were talking about Dylan Cease.
Oh, about Dylan Cease, right? Yeah.
And then Castillo with the changeup.
And Castillo, yeah. Haven't been around Castillo yet in any of my drafts.
I mean, of course, like if Castillo gets traded to, the Giants or something, then of course, like anyone who took him is going to feel great.
Yeah. So Cease, Webb, Haniger, get in some respect. This is great because I don't, I'm drafting with people I haven't been drafting with, so getting a little bit of a different than like the bubble that I've been in, like seeing Haniger go before pick 120, is kind of refreshing in a way.
Yeah. I was in this league up until 2 years ago. My last year in the league was the year that Paul and I were together, and I was like, "Oh, hey, we talked ourselves into taking Vladdy in the 4th round." Yeah, which is when I see Franco going in the 4th round, that's my flashbacks.
Yeah, well, the comparisons being made too, that because Vladdy blew up, that's why you should be taking Franco. I don't know if I see it that way.
But you have to be really real about the tool grades, and like you just can't compare Franco's raw power to Vlad's raw power.
Right.
So by the way, if Cody Bellinger makes it to me at pick 100, I'm taking him, but I don't think he will because Podhorzer is right in front of me.
But he's eventually got to take another pitcher. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He has one, and it's a questionable health grade at that.
Yeah. Well, there are others, If he wants another questionable health grade pitcher, I mean, there's Flaherty still hanging there.
There's
hovering like an angel.
Yeah, so Ryan Bloomfield made up for his slow start with starters with getting Rogers and Morton. That's good.
Any concern about the news? Morton was like, I'm mostly where I need to be. Was his quote today when he talked about how his rehab? He goes, I'm mostly where I need to be.
Yeah, I think people forgot about the World Series injury there.
Yeah.
All right, I am taking Bellinger. So Yelich Bellinger goes back to back like he does. It's surprising how often that happens.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to sign off, guys. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks for jumping in, James.
Thanks.
See you, bud.
See you guys.
I should mention, this is probably a good time to mention that this and every other RotoWire podcast is brought to you by the good folks at WinBet. I'm going to give you the full info on them in a second here. This is I just made a pick, so it's a good time to share that information because this is still a podcast. So here you guys go with that. WinBet is now the exclusive sponsor for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcast. WinBet brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more are at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head into WinBet's digital casino and take a spin on roulette, double down in blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at Baccarat. WinBet is currently available in 9 states: Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia, while rapidly expanding. At WinBet, the possibilities are limitless. Register for WinBet today, making a qualifying deposit, and wager to receive $200 in free bets. Promotion may vary by state. Download WinBet now. That's WYNNBET. WinBet, the exclusive partner for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcast. Jeff Erickson here with Fred Zinkie and Jason Collette. Maybe other friends will jump in as well, but we are talking a lot about this draft so far. Always fun to do these. First time draft of the year for me. I so much prefer this over the slow drafts that we do.
I think the slow drafts serve a really good purpose, right? Like the slow drafts are great for analyzing the player pool and taking your time. I find them invaluable. I never found mock drafts that was never into mock drafts. But slow drafts I find are invaluable. But now I think once you have a few slow drafts under belt, now I feel like now I'm ready to dive into these ones.
Sure. And I agree. It's getting your reps in. I agree. And for me, it's always kind of a good way to battle test your projections. Dalton Varsho goes at 713. So we talked about him earlier. So he's now gone. That there's only a couple more in that first tier of catchers. I'm happy to have one. I don't think I want to have two. Now we're starting to see these next pitchers. I could have taken Lance Lynn or Yu Darvish there, who went immediately after this pick. That Lynn's actually a pretty darn good value, I think.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. I consider
him. Well, he's got Cole and Lynn as his 2 starting pitchers. That's on paper, that's a lot of innings to bank on. If you're looking at 200 innings is going to be such a high mark to reach for so many pitchers. If you made me pick 2 pitchers, those would be the 2 guys I would put down for 200 innings this year.
Yeah. I think that's actually a valid point. Joe just went Blake Snell and Alek Manoah. High range of outcomes with him.
Yes.
Alek Manoah is one of those, I feel like, has become one of those polarizing guys this offseason.
I'm there for him there. I think I'm on board for that pick.
Yeah.
The slider's so filthy. So filthy. Borderline illegal how good it is.
Yeah.
Like a pitch shouldn't be able to dive that much.
Agreed. Shane McClanahan's a fave of mine. I like that pick too. Just went to Rudy Gamble. Rudy Gamble is he's also swinging for the fences. This is not a safe draft.
This is
it's
not
a fun draft, though.
Apart roster.
Tell you what, guys, I'm 1 pick away. I will be swinging for the fences with this next pick. That's your hint at who I'm going next?
Swinging for the fences.
It's not. I should say. Making a bold pick. That's all.
I was looking at the home run hitters.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
So your next pick, you're going to swing for the fences. So
this is a flashy pick.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Correct.
Just like you did in the Writers League.
I think, yeah, but again, it's time. It's after Correa. It's after Polanco.
Yeah.
The next shortstop is what? Adames. I like just fine, but he's not going to run. Franmil Reyes
absolutely mash. I get it. I get it. Like if I was in your shoes, I'd be taking Adames, but I get it.
Yeah.
Own it. You've already done it once. Why not do it again?
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Gonna do it. I just got to find it in the RTQ. It's actually not that far off.
Because if you don't do it, I bet you Podhorser probably will.
Yeah. I just think it's time. I mean, it's not like you see drafts where he goes and picks 60, and I get the critique there, but this isn't it.
This is 100, right?
Yeah. It's 101. No, 111. Excuse me.
Oh,
don't diminish the work I'm doing with my value taking here. But
I just bad at math. That's 15 times 7 is 105, not 90. Dummy.
Yeah.
You took him at 109 in the Riders League, so not far off.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. I think it's time.
I have those results up here on the other screen, so if you need to reference them, let me know.
I've been making lots of references to that draft. It's a good draft.
So it really was. You go way out on the limb with Bobby Witt Jr. And then I feel like the next pick, it's Podhorser again. Amazing. Even more volatility takes.
Verlander's a good pick, though. I think that's a pretty good price for him.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this year there are just, maybe it's because they aren't in spring training yet, so we haven't been able to see these guys, but I feel like there are just so many like massive boomer bust picks right now.
I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think the Witt thing was that bold. I think it's well after ADP, but I don't know.
I think so too. Oh, Max Muncy. I think that pick's like good if he's
Miles
healthy.
Straw in the middle of round 8.
That's aggressive. So
that's where we said he was going to go.
Let's look at the Miles Straw team.
Verlander and Rodon, by the way.
Yeah. That was the team you said had no steals, but it does have Ohtani in the end. So that team now has a fair share of steals.
Man, you have to overpay for speed, though. It's if you're gonna wait. That's the thing. And Straw's quote unquote worth it in terms of category juice, but he's not worth it in pure, like, that's not a roto value pick.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm pretty happy with those last 2 picks. I'm not gonna lie.
This is a round of risk with Rodon going, with Max Muncy. Have you guys taken Muncy anywhere?
I took him in one EC where he fell a bit. I'm not against Muncy the player. Like, I think Muncy the player is quite good.
I think the player's quite good.
Situation, obviously.
I'm just worried he's one. I'm worried he's one swing or one throw away from being done.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared of him. I love the player, but yeah, just when you know that Tommy John is still on the table, it's tough to invest in that.
Yeah.
All right. So I am up. Oh, Suzuki just went. That's it. That's an aggressive.
That has Peter McLeod. Yep.
Yes, of course. Know the competition. Bloomfield got good value, by the way, on Kenley Jansen. I wherever he signs, he's going to close. I think we all know that, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah.
Suzuki. I don't even know how.
Yeah, I would have taken that prop bet that Tim was going to be taking Suzuki in this.
Yep. Yeah, that was a no-brainer. Will Smith. So you got yourself a closer.
I got 2 closers now. Him and
you got yourself 2 closers.
Wasn't totally the plan, but I feel like Will Smith at the end around 8 is just like
no, I agree.
Too good to pass up. I did not see that one coming at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kenley and Smith were both pretty good values, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like we're getting to the end of that group of closers, right? That group of closers that everybody believes in.
Mm-hmm. We got Ryan Roof here joining us now.
Greetings.
Hey, Ryan.
If he writes closer encounters for us, he's been on the pod before. He runs our closer grid. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Ryan, say something positive about Will Smith.
Will Smith,
actually, either one of them.
Yeah, like both of them. Yeah, I think he's fine. He had a pretty high home run per 9 last year, and they still stuck with him. So I'm pretty confident that the role is his. And even though Atlanta's bullpen is pretty stacked, so yeah, I like both Will Smiths.
Yeah, I got the catcher version earlier. I don't know how much you've been following along.
So I joined and I saw Adley Rutschman was taken third. Was that?
No, that was.
Oh, I see. That was mistake.
That was rolled back. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
He's still out. And you know what's going to happen is we're all going to forget that he's available too. It's going to be beautiful. That always seems to happen.
Nice.
So Fred, you're up. Round 9. You just took the multi-position guy, Jake Cronenworth.
Because I don't have a shortstop or a first baseman.
Well, now you do.
I got one of them at least, yeah. So I don't love the late shortstops, so I feel like now I can stay out of that.
And I have 2 shortstops. So got that going for him. Maybe I have just one. Who knows? Bobby Witt might be held down by the Royals for another year, but we'll see.
So I'm not sure if you guys covered this yet, but since most of the focus has been on NFBC draft.
You kind of cut out on us. Say that again, por favor.
He's frozen at the moment.
Yeah. Nate Eovaldi goes to Ryan Bloomfield. Wow. Hey, can you repeat that question, by the way? You froze on us.
Yeah, my bad. So the question was, most of the drafts we've been doing have been NFBC focused, and this is obviously not an overall competition. So what adjustments are you guys making?
Closers are going a little later. That's the big one. And I'm not surprised. They're still going earlier than last year, but they're going later than NFBC, later than any draft and hold. RT does draft and hold, so does Fantrax too. I don't want to, be, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be too NFBC centric just because they're partners of ours. But draft and hold conceptually, I mean, there's no, you're not adding from the waiver wire, you're not trading, so naturally closers are going to get pushed up a little bit more.
Yeah, I see, Jeff, you drafted Clase in round 5 and Fred Bryce Iglesias in round 4 and Will Smith in round 8. So
those prices are definitely lower than they are in NFBC, in NFBC universe. That there's without a doubt.
Right, we're used to round 3 for. I mean, even Clase has crept into round 3 lately. Yep. So nice to get the discount.
It is. Indeed, it is. Guys, I could have waited and taken Adames for another round instead of Witt, but I can see it, but I'm still happy because Adames is still hanging there, one pick away.
Still hanging there.
You double it up.
Okay, what does Podhorser need? What wild card can he take this time?
Good question. What?
Clayton Kershaw is near the top of the queue. So is Austin Meadows. Those are some nice wild cards.
Yeah. See all of that.
It's too early for Brandon Nimmo.
I like Nimmo, but yeah. Contreras and Kershaw were both hurt last year, and they're the top guys in like the default queue. And he goes Wilson Contreras. So there you go. And that's kind of I think that's the last of the top catcher tier too. I mean, depending where you have Rushman, I have him or Tyler Stevenson. I have him a step below that. But guys, I think I might take a second closer here. I like Giovanni Gallegos.
Yep.
I was gonna enable you to do it, but do what you want. Trying to get you one game, but I can't catch up with you.
That's some of your finest work, Jason.
I'd go with Gallegos over Knable.
Yeah. He just wanted to fit the joke.
Ryan and I disagree on that.
Yeah, I came for the puns.
Yes.
it'll be interesting to see who St. Louis targets, once free agency resumes in terms of their bullpen. We heard that report that, they would look for a reliever to pair with Gallegos to close out games. So be interesting. There's a lot of interesting, pretty good relievers out there on the market right now. So, but Gallegos has obviously proven he's been pretty elite past several seasons. So I like him to still get at least 20 saves, even if they sign someone to share the role.
So I don't usually take 2 closers in the top 10. I'm going to have to chill out on relievers for the rest of the draft. I'll get someone late. You want 2.5 closers, but I'm really going to have to find the hitters I like in the teens a little bit more. And I know in a 15 teamer, those can dry up a little bit. So that I'm going to have a focus on them and a handful of starters, but that's the one consequence of getting the second closer. Fred, you're going to go through the same thing a little bit.
Yeah, we have the same build right now as far as just having 2 starters and 2 relievers. You're going to have to attack probably speed a little more than I will.
Yeah.
In the middle rounds, whereas there's obviously a trade-off there, so I'm going to need to look, but I'm going to probably have to attack maybe power a little bit. It's definitely a freeing feeling to be in round 9 and not need saves. Feel like you don't really need saves or steals. I need steals, but I should be able to just naturally run into the last whatever I need, 40 or something I need for the rest of my roster. So
right.
Locking up the scarcest,
a pretty good feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to lock up those scarce resources.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of pitchers I like. They're going to go off the boards. That's going to be the tough part. Is I'm looking at the starting pitcher queue. I'm like, oh, I like him. I like him. The flip side is I don't see a whole lot of relievers that I like. So kind of.
Well, we've almost hit the point, or we have actually, I'd say we've almost hit the point where all the relievers left have some decent question marks about whether they'll be closers. If I just look down my list here, Kimbrel needs to get traded. Knable, we all assume he's going to be the closer, but we don't really know, and he threw 25 innings last year.
And we just don't. The Phillies might have a lot of roster building still left to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think more on the hitting side than the pitching side is the difference.
That's right. Tyler Rogers, the Twins could still add more relievers. Blake Trinan, we all know the whole thing with Jansen and the Dodgers. David Bednar, is he really going to be the Pirates closer? Are the Pirates going to win any games? Mark Melanson's still there. So can the Diamondbacks get him save chances? Can he actually be a closer for another year and hold a job? We've hit the point where there's warts, pretty significant warts. Duvall, right? And then Floro and guys like that. There's pretty significant warts on everyone who's left. So you can stay out of that because you used your picks more aggressively. And I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to live in some of those. In the league that I took Will Smith as my closer 1, I have Lou Trevino and Jake McGee as closers 2 and 3, because that's what I had to go digging into.
I agree with your McGee versus Duvall take, by the way. I certainly don't think it's settled.
Right.
Whether that Duvall is the guy, and I actually think I projected McGee for more. So for whatever it's worth.
Thank you. I mean, I loved McGee last year and got him dirt cheap everywhere. It was great. But Duvall's got great stuff. I'm not here to say Duvall doesn't have the better stuff, but to me, he's made a career of not being able to throw strikes, and all of a sudden he could for a month. But we've seen reliever volatility go away, and I made the point about he's like Sir Anthony Dominguez, so we all love 16 saves, and the next year he was out of a job within 3 weeks. Then he was hurt later that year, and that was all under Gabe Kepler.
Yeah. So, guys, we've kind of hit a stage of the draft where there's not a whole lot of speed, at least where you're not reaching for it. You can go Kelnick. That's the one guy you could go here. Manaea was Grisham was the last of the guys that's kind of reasonable in this range. I'm not going to get him. I'm not going to take him. I'm just going to take the best available bat here. But it's an interesting spot, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a significant trade-off probably for most of the speed guys from this point off on like whether it's a playing time trade-off or a batting average trade-off or something.
Or where they sign, like, Jonathan VR's name stands out because of what he's done in recent years. Like if he were to turn around and sign it, like go back to Baltimore, go to Colorado, go somewhere where it's like, hey, here you're gonna go play. Like he's easily draftable here based on the volume. But if he doesn't, then it's a complete wasted pick because he's got to have. He's proven he's got to be able to have all that volume to give you what you need. But like if we had signings now and he was given like, hey, we're signing this guy and we're going to let him play every day, he goes here.
For sure. I think, I think that's the thing with VR is you almost, because we know the chances are decent that he could be a bench bat on a team that, or utility guy, and then he's almost waiver wire or pretty close to waiver wire. So when do you hit the point in the draft where you're willing to draft someone who you may actually cut in April? Like unrelated to an injury. So I don't know. It'll be a while for VR. I think his ADP is like in the late 200s or something like that. So it'll be a while, but you almost want, ideally you want him on your bench or in your utility spot when you come out of this draft, but his ADP is not quite there. Like you're going to have to invest enough that you're going to have him in like a little more of a prominent role than that.
I believe his ADP, he's going to end up in the 15th round at some point here.
Okay.
I wanted to look. I got to pull. I've got too many tabs open. There's the tab I want. Nope, that's not the tab I want.
Harrison Bader, AJ Pollock, have the chance for double-digit steals kind of in this range, maybe a little bit later. Those are two guys I've been kind of targeting for speed.
I take that back because it's closer. His ADP is closer to around 17 or 18. Basically 280.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys in that range.
Yeah.
Josh Bell is someone I like. I could have gone that route, but.
Oh, you want Meadows? Okay.
Yeah, I like Meadows. I think he's due for a little bit of a bounce back. I know his
He's
usage
due for
was
a
weird.
trade.
His usage was weird late in the season.
Well, he was weird because he drove in 100+ runs, only hitting 236, and not playing every day, as you said. So he was able to drive in all those runs despite not in every day and where his lineup, where he was running around. But I honestly think he's one of the guys that's going to be traded by the club. So maybe he moves into an opportunity that gets where he's going to get full time because he's not signing a deal. And this would be the time that the club tends to trade guys that don't want to stick around.
Yeah.
Cleveland. I'd love to see him here.
Chicago needs a left-handed bat. You look at how right-handed heavy that White Sox lineup is. I don't know what they could send in return. Cleveland could use
their farm system is just
but it's like they need a left-handed bat in Cleveland, and that would be a nice fit. In Chicago. But yeah, Cleveland's 5-year pursuit of finding a starting outfielder that could stick in there. I feel bad for you, man. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Fred, you just took Luis Garcia. I like him. Just did a video mentioning him today. Like all the Houston pitchers, but I think Garcia with his strikeout upside is really nice.
Yeah, I think I need to find a little more pitching depth. I was going to take Chris Bassett, and then he got sniped. I was actually hoping to get both of them on this turn.
I've also mentioned Bassett because we just did one hitter, one pitcher I like from each team in the AL West. I did that with Alan Sislowski today, and it's so funny. Bassett and Garcia were two that I mentioned.
I mean, if the Bauer thing works out for her, she's got a really scary team of Wheeler, Ray, Bauer, and now Bassett as a starting rotation.
Boy, there's a wide range of outcomes with all that.
Really, really wide range, and the closers are going to be very late in this draft for her.
Yeah,
because that's how she typically approaches it. My next pick for my next trick. This This is a tricky one. I have a bunch of. You hit the point in the middle rounds where you kind of have a lot of. I don't know about you guys. But you kind of have a lot of guys ranked pretty similarly.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're just picking one out of the pile.
Yeah, definitely. But it's funny. They're all similarly ranked, but the result you get on them is
Will
huge.
not be the same. Absolutely. Yeah. Apparently, I like position eligibility.
I just was looking at him. Stop looking at. I didn't share my screen, did I?
Oh, I'm using a piece of paper right now, anyways.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
An old-fashioned piece of paper with all the names on it.
Are you a grid guy like Matt Modica, writing in little squares?
Nope. I just got a list of my guys ranked in order, and I'm picking off that list. And I don't pick like always the highest guy on the list, but
See, Tim just ran a great psyops on us there. He fake picked Adley Rushman in the first round, and then he gets him in the 11th round. I mean, what a move! Just tip your hat. I'm not even mad. What was that?
I guess I live near the Charlotte Motor Speedway, even though it's 25 miles from my house. Somebody out on the roadside's doing something.
'Tis the season. We just had Daytona this weekend, past weekend. So,
yeah, a friend of ours went down to Florida to see her husband. He's working on assignment as a surgeon. So she went down. What normally takes her 9 hours to drive back took her 11. She goes, forgot about Daytona 500. Like, oops. But she was nice enough to stop and get us some Buc-ee's on the way home. So, yay, Buc-ee's.
What are Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee's is an amazing gas station / barbecue. It's like think of a giant gas station. When I say giant, I'm talking like 96 pumps, where Cracker Barrel and Walmart and barbecue all collide into one massive building. They're from Texas, so anybody from Texas is like, oh my God, Buc-ee's. But they have them. There's one in Daytona and there's one in Jacksonville as you're leaving Florida. And apparently there's one here on the east side of North Carolina that I have to get over to. But I spent an hour and a half the last time I was in Buc-ee's. So next time you're in Texas,
you can spend an hour and a half in a gas station, you do it. That's what I always say.
I got lost at one point. I'll be real. So I mean, it's big. Hey, there goes Kimbrel. Whatever pick that is.
Yep.
Something in the middle.
Kelnick and Taurus. Some guys that are of some semblance of risk here. Who's the risky guy that's next for Mr. Podhorser?
It's Kershaw time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Boy, by the way, this is where knowing like the defaults really matter. You look at some of the guys that are high. Like Dylan Bundy is listed as 128 in RT's default. Don't rely on the default queue if you're like on the clock trying to pick a player. Because make sure you have your own set of rankings. Be prepared.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to panic and take someone that's way off.
There it is.
Oh, it's beautiful. Dude, he's either going to totally crush us or he'll be done in June.
Or what often happens in these scenarios, it's going to be a mixture of those two things.
Yeah.
Some of those guys are going to hit and some of them will miss.
Yep. Brian Hayes went about a round or two ago, and that would have fit perfectly on my team. I was kind of bummed about that. Here's my issue right now that I'm running into is a lot of the guys I like are the guys that would fit my team are at positions I don't really need. I need to hurry up and make a pick, though. I'm going to take Dylan Carlson now. I like him. I don't care if I have 4 outfielders. I like Dylan Carlson. So there.
He's someone I've been taking recently in my drafts just to get some shares. Just wonder what the speed's going to look like, right?
Yeah. Again, we can trade for speed, though. That's the one saving grace
that
I'm kind of trying to count on a little bit. But
yeah, I'm not seeing any one particular team that's running away with the category. Unless I'm overlooking something. But,
no,
well, I mean, Ryan's got Bichette and Anderson right out of the gate, plus Goldschmidt. if
I
Springer
really like what Fred.
healthy,
I really like
that
what Fred
gets
did with speed.
Yeah.
J Ram, Teoscar, Witt, Reynolds pitching a few, Cronenworth a few, Luis Rice
And
a
if
few.
Todd Horzer's team doesn't get hurt running to first, he's got speed too.
This is a weird team for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to maybe count up my steals. What do I think I've got here? Because I haven't drafted since I started with some. I've drafted a bunch of guys who get like 5, so that's not gonna help much.
Gardner and Joe are hurting with steals towards the end of and out of picking 14th and 15th.
So I expect some more speed to come off the board before my next pick. Sweet. Oh,
So giving you a heads up.
So Jeff, is that your next pick priority? Is to get someone who can steal you the bases?
I think it's just to get an infielder, but it might be
Right.
an infielder, or I kind of like Tyler Stevenson at this price. I might go that route and just say that heck with speed, or Christian Vasquez. I suppose I could go there and get 5 stolen bases. I don't know. I have options. Wouldn't mind jumping back into the stolen base pool. There's some third basemen I like. Well, Steve saved me from myself because I do love Zach Gallen. I still have an affectation for him, and I think the price is right. But that might force me to go a different way. So Joe Sheehan will be back in AL Tout Wars.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Whose spot is he taking?
Chris Liss.
Ah,
And GNL is also moving to the mixed draft. So Chris Blessing is in that spot.
oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes Canadian. Wow, Joe, that's early for Joe taking a reliever.
He's a Knabler.
I think that's a fair pick though at this point. Like he was my highest ranked remaining reliever.
Yeah.
On my list, the closer options are getting like pretty.
I've taken him in the 10th round, and the 2 leagues I was able to get to him. Somebody beat me to him and took him in the 9th. But I've taken him. If he's in the 10th and I'm in your league, he's going. That's where I've been comfortable taking him. I like those picks. I like the Garcia pick quite a bit there too.
Yeah.
That landing spot in Miami for him could be really nice. If Jazz does what James thinks he'll do, Avi Garcia could have a really nice year in Miami.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick right now.
Unfortunately, Ryan Nowak, we missed your question. I apologize for that. Sometimes we miss the questions in the queue.
I can't see.
Keep posting them. If we miss it once, post it again. We'll answer it as best we can. Ty France just goes. He's a prodigious hit by pitch guy. He's right up there with Anthony Rizzo in terms of his ability to get plunked.
He's got that multi-position thing going too.
Yeah, I think first and second, right?
Looks like Steve's just going to let speed kind of go for his team unless he's going to throw a lot of late darts because that team is really slow.
Yeah.
To Pat's question, Iglesias being a top shelf closer for 2-3 years, personally, my guess is he already had the 1 year last year, and I don't like saying a closer is going to be a top shelf guy for 3 consecutive years. Just myself, the reliever volatility is just too much. So again, this year I don't know about moving forward, but last year was his step forward, and we'll see how it holds up. Just my thoughts.
Yeah. We got Todd Zola trying to chime in. Can we put in 5 people at once, or are we limited to 4? I'm not knowing. Who knows StreamYard very well? I'm on the clock, so hang on, Todd.
You just focus. Make a good pick.
Yeah.
Tapia, that is early for Raimel Tapia.
That is I need speed pick.
I'm going with a 36. Like he fell almost 70 picks in the Riders League.
So I'm gonna go a little. No, am I gonna do it? Yes, I am. I'm gonna take a second catcher. Tyler Stevenson, come on down. Under the theory, he's going to get a ton of playing time this year too.
He should.
Speed's overrated. I will not be drafting another closer for a long time or a catcher forever. But took him over Christian Vasquez, which I know Todd's not going to be happy to hear because I know he's back on Vasquez. Meanwhile, I'm going to try to figure out if I can get him in the room if we can get 5 people in the room at once. We might not be
he's going to take Sandoval in the back problem.
Yeah.
I can drop. I have to run soon anyway. So
all right, why don't we do that? I'm
guys.
sorry, don't mean to kick you out there, Ryan, but thanks for joining us today.
Yep.
Good
luck.
Check out Closer Encounters up on RotoWire.
Thanks a lot.
You bet.
He took Rizzo in the back issues.
Todd Zola, how we doing? Except has the Novocaine worn off?
Yeah, it's all off. Yeah, the Novocaine and the extra strength Tylenol is kicked in too, so we're all good.
All right.
And I like Stevenson more than Vasquez for what it's worth.
Okay, cool.
It's just that Stevenson's usually gone, or I just miss him.
Yeah.
Been somewhat paying attention. I'm doing an auction, and I am in such uncharted territory for me where I'm usually with the hammer. I'm sitting this one out because I've got like $22 left for 6 players, and we're like 2/3 of the way. Players are still going for $6, $7, and $8. So this is almost as excruciating as a root canal with little effective Novocaine. No, you know what? That was more excruciating. This is just I can let players go by and it doesn't hurt.
Robbie Grossman, there was one of the few remaining steel sources.
Yeah, and the guy I talked up on Matt Williams' podcast. Matt is the defending champ of the Draft and Hold Tout Wars League.
Yeah, co-defending champ.
Oh, is that how it worked?
Alan Harrison tied, and they even tied in the tiebreaker.
Wow, that's wild.
So we were gonna have a steel cage match at Tout to figure it out, but since we're going remote, we decided to have them split it.
Dang, Segura also went. That's a little early for Segura. I thought I'd have ample opportunity to get he or Wong, and I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Are you son second baseman? Okay, yeah. Well,
I'm sans stolen bases. Well, not totally sans. I've got some. I mean, but I really need like Bobby Witt to get the call early and have the green light. Blah blah blah. When you need instead of like, oh, I've got it. You know, it's kind of a problem.
What pick number are we now? This would be about 179, right?
179. Fred is on the clock with 179, and he took Marcel Ozuna.
Plug your nose at that one, but
you know how the category is in steals, Jeff. It's very bunched in the middle. So even if you're in the bottom part of the bunch, you can manage that category in season as necessary. Make a trade or whatever. So it's not, in a trading league, as you know, it's not such a bad thing to come out a little bit short.
Correct.
And Tucker's going to give you some, right? I mean, that's why you drafted him in the first round.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you got to remember what you got early. And Cody Bellinger should get a handful too. Yeah.
In this auction, I had no speed, and I took Miles Straw for $14, and some people on Twitter love it, other people's don't, which is
so weird.
Status quo with Miles Straw, right?
Status quo for Twitter.
Well, it's good. No, it's good. If no one's being cruel, it's actually kind of fun. But I just got Jake McGee for $1, hoping to get money off the board.
I like that.
I'll take that every time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I don't have a closer yet, but I can use him.
You do now.
I mean, I'd like to think I can use him, in this league as my third reliever during weeks where I don't like the starts too. I mean, he's useful.
Under the cover of night, Fred just takes Ranger Suarez there.
I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about Marcell Ozuna for one reason, and I don't feel good about Ranger Suarez for another reason. I didn't.
You'll just take a shower and you'll be fine.
But I do feel good about the Marcell Ozuna pick from a strategic perspective. I do think the Braves are going to just play him.
What don't you like about Suarez?
About Suarez? I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't feel great about him. I just didn't feel great about that pick. I don't know. I should like him. I don't know what to make of Suarez, I guess. I guess that's what it is. I don't know what to make of Suarez.
You obviously don't like risk.
Brooch,
because,
pterodactyl.
You don't like risk, Fred, because you got Chris Sale, you got Dylan Cease. So obviously you're into safe pitchers.
Yeah, see what I mean? So now I've got
That's
this.
the guy who
now
took
I've got
Suarez
Suarez.
at 185 in the AFL league, Todd.
Yeah. And that was a mistake. And I didn't mind it. It worked out okay because I got the guy, I flip-flopped him, but that was a mistake.
Oh, that was the round you did that.
Yeah, I've been using the software for so long, but like once a draft, I will like put the players in the wrong round or something like that so that it defaults to the top of the actual queue and not my queue.
Gotcha.
And that's what it did. I think what I did was I had these players left from a previous round, and I just assumed that it was the all list or, because sometimes I do that too. And I just, good, I got my queue set up. I don't have to worry about it. Yep. Ranger Suarez.
Fred, did you consider Jordan Montgomery in that spot? Or was Suarez like the guy you're like, hey, here? Because Montgomery went 3 picks later, and that's a personal favorite guy of mine this year. When I look at his, he throws 5 pitches. You really shouldn't get rid of the sinker because it's crap. But, he's got the other 4 are really good, and his curve and his change, big whiff rates on them. I do like him quite a bit. I can see some similarities between he and Suarez, though.
Yep. Montgomery was wasn't at the top of my list, but he was in the top, 6 or 5 or 6 or something like that. But I actually thought he might make it back to me. He was actually on my radar for 2 rounds from now. Like just looking at, I forget, I'm just trying to see what pick we are on right now total.
We are
I think we are on pick
190, I think.
Yeah, 189 right now.
Okay. Yeah, I found in my DCs that I was often able to get Montgomery in the early 200s. So I thought maybe he would make it back to me. So John Means was another guy who in my DCs I was able to get in the early 200s, and he went a little while ago.
He went 173 in their AFL league. Montgomery did.
Okay.
The other day I comped him to Jimmy Key on a podcast. That's what he reminds me of.
Oh, if you had said that before I picked, I probably would have taken him.
Jimmy Key may have been the first pick I ever made in the fantasy league.
Wow.
I loved watching Jimmy Key pitch.
It was one of, if not the.
Floro's kind of an interesting pick as a closer too, no?
There's a lot of these the closers in this level that are going, so it's kind of interesting. Guys, I'm going to take a guy I thought initially was going too high, and now I'm kind of got some religion on him, is Turek Skubal. I love the strikeout upside. I love that Tucker Barnhart is his catcher too. I think that this and Javi Baez is playing defense behind him. And I needed Ks.
Sounds like a perfect fit.
Somebody I loved way too much last year.
Yeah. Adames really slipped. Think about that we were talking about him a little bit when I took Bobby Witt a few rounds ago. Good pick by Alan Harrison.
Yeah, I get that he doesn't run, but when you look at what he's done away from Tropicana for his entire career and what he was doing before he got hurt after that trade, and the fact that he's going to get to beat up on some of that bad NL Central pitching on those second division clubs. I don't know. I'm surprised.
Go.
But where he looked, the guys that have gone since, if I'm looking the past, the only shortstops that have gone since are Gleyber Torres and Ahmed Rosario. And in the context, if I need somebody that runs, I get passing on Adames. But, that's really where you're taking shortstops and you needed speed as both of those teams did. I get the picks they made.
Marcus Stroman just went. He and Miles Straw should be on the same team. Make all the arguments in favor of that. Kopech's interesting there. I like that pick. A lot of upside. The thing about a 15-teamer is you're always going to feel like you're light and stuff. I know you made the comment, Todd, like, where are all the good hitters gone when you got to like 17 or so? And I feel like that I see that iceberg approaching my ship right now.
We do enough drafts that one of them just falls perfectly and you don't feel that way.
Right.
But in general, you almost have to plan where to be light and how to make it up. And then, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Yep. So, Todd, you weren't in here earlier, but good news. Joe Sheehan is coming back to Tout Wars. He'll be an AL Tout.
Good. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. We've had some movement today. Chris Blessing is in. Jeff Barton is in. So, got some more names coming. Yeah. Got like two. I got like 2 spots to fill, and one in the NL Tout, one in the mixed auction.
I like the mix of, new blood and people that have been grinding for years back. It's a nice mix.
New old mix, yes.
Yeah. Chris was great. I love Chris having his own team.
Yeah.
Chris Clegg.
Yes,
that's right.
Double catcher. Double tap catcher on the 13-14 turn by Joe Sheehan. Keibert Ruiz and Gary Sanchez. A lot of upside. I'll say that.
Yeah, our buddy DVR is still in Sanchez, so
yeah.
I give him one more year.
I think I took him in the speakers draft because
I believe you did.
I thought I could absorb it, and I thought I could get someone else fairly, as my second catcher.
You did. Took him at 275.
Yeah, so it's like, I'll double tap a little early, but it's the Draft Champions League, and then I got Matt Thaiss.
Oh, that would annoy me.
I kept looking to take him, and I was like, "Oh, he's gone. Who took him?" Wait. Of course, this room's sharp. They know everything.
I forgot to take him. I forgot. It's the only league I haven't taken him in yet.
Because you bragged about tweeting it. You tweet bragged that he's or was it Vlad that did that? Actually, I don't want to blame you when it's Vlad that did that. But
what did Vlad do?
He says, he's always my round 48 or something like that.
Oh, I haven't said that. He's been there in the end game, and I think I've taken him in the 45th round or later as my 4th catcher and my other 2 DCs, and I just forgot to take him one round, and I'm like, oh man,
yeah. That's why I took him in the 40th or whatever it was, because I forgot. So you know what does it matter, 40th or 45th? They're going to take away my so-called expert card. So I just said I'm not going to forget.
I think that was the round I reached on Robert. I keep taking darts on Robert Stevenson. And I took Honeywell. I took Honeywell and Colton Welker, and then I think that was the round you took Matt Thaiss.
Okay, I can go to
Matt Collins ended up being my 4th catcher.
All right, so I'm finally going to take my first corner of the draft. Probably Andy Behrens is hanging his head in shame with me, or is demanding I had my hang in shame. I'm taking Josh Donaldson here.
Nice.
Frankly,
yeah,
I'm pretty happy with that.
Can't go wrong.
Should be.
Yeah, no risk whatsoever there.
None. Podhorse is probably going, God damn it, that was going to be my guy.
That's my safe.
Never gets hurt.
That's my safe guy.
I mean, it's the right price, 15. So this is I always get the math wrong on this one. This is 205. So this was what, pick 211, right?
I just picked 201 with Donaldson.
201. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I mean, this is about his ADP is 205 over the last 30 days.
Yeah.
But he went to Zimmerman at 218, and I remember him saying just like, he's here, I'm taking him. Benintendi's somebody that I used on the team that I was trying to build speed throughout, where I took pocket aces and I was like, I need to find people that can give me some steals.
Mm-hmm.
I took him hoping he can be one of the other KC compilers.
Going to use this moment to take care of a little bit more business. Our good friends at Thrive are suggesting you can experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is an exciting player prop fantasy contest. With Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on only the top tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Sign up for Thrive Fantasy today and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. Here's how you can claim your free RotoWire subscription. 1, visit rotowire.com/thrive. 2, deposit a minimum of $10 and receive a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. And 3, play in your first paid contest and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. It's just that simple, folks. Jeff Erickson here. I am with my good friends Jason Collette, Todd Zola, and Fred Zinkie. We're doing the Mixed LABR draft. Hope you guys are enjoying this format. It's obviously a little bit different and longer than what we usually do. It's not one of the Jason Collette, Paul Sporer Curiously Long podcasts, but it is. But we are doing a little bit of a longer length here. Fred is actually on the clock. Who you taking here, Fred? What are you thinking?
You can see as I get quieter as the draft goes along. I'm going to take Eddie Rosario.
Okay.
I heard he had a good playoff.
Yeah. Price is right again.
Signed.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Maybe get me 10 steals, which would help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Defense has improved, so he should have a job. Well, defense in left field is improved.
Yeah. He's a neat. I originally had him ranked lower, and then I took another look at him. He basically in his career just sucked in Cleveland. Like for half a year, he sucked in Cleveland. So I looked at him starting in 2017 with Minnesota, 836 OPS. The next year, 803. The next year, 800. The straight shortened season, 792. His time with the Braves, 903. Cleveland, 685. He sucked for half a year with Cleveland. Oh, the other guy I was going to take was Joe Ryan, and I left him for Zach is killing me tonight.
Zach's a good player. Zach Steinhorn is a really good player.
He's taking all my guys. I thought he would be more likely to take Rosario than Joe Ryan.
He hasn't taken a pitcher in 3 rounds too. That was probably a risk.
Yeah, I just wasn't.
In fact, he hasn't taken a starter. He hasn't taken a starter in 7 rounds.
Just wasn't sure if Joe Ryan would be. I wouldn't be. I didn't think Joe Ryan maybe would be at the top of his queue. Here we are. Whatever. I have to bounce back from that.
It's tough to quit in the middle of the draft. You can't.
Yeah,
15, I'm out.
A little unfair to the other. A little bit unfair to the other guys to quit in the middle of the draft. Todd, what do we think about Tanner Houck?
I look at Rich Hill and I look at Michael Wacha. And on one hand, I say, well, they must not want Tanner Houck to start. The other hand, I say, well, those guys aren't going to stay healthy.
Think they'll let him throw 5 innings when he starts?
Or he could tandem. I mean, Rich Hill's a lefty. You bring in Houck, the opposite sort of handedness, and play that game. And you know that Chaim Bloom knows that. I mean, I don't mind seeing him as, and you probably start Hill, just because stay in the routine, a little bit older. I think it's just one of those arms you want, and let the rest play out.
Todd, halfway through your hemming and hawing on Tanner Houck, I took Christian Vasquez. So basically, I wanted to hear you say those other guys are old. He'll be in the rotation, and they'll start letting him throw a lot of innings. I'm not interested at this point, I think, in messing around with tandem starts and who he follows an opener or he is the opener or whatever. So I'm out. Someone else can have him. I need pitching on my next pick.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to be Tanner Houck.
It's such a nice
probably won't be.
I mean, I'm more confident Houck stays in rotation than Garrett Whitlock.
I almost think Whitlock's going to close still.
Well, I mean, that's what I think. I think Matt Barnes has the warrant or merits the opportunity to show he can do it one more time, but I don't think there's a long leash.
I almost double clicked Pablo Sandoval for Ryan Bloomfield instead of Patrick Sandoval when he took him there. That would have been unkind. I've got a Hyun-Jin Ryu went. That's a pretty extreme value take there by Yeah, Kyle and Stefania. As I like to call him Kyle Fania. I think we did that in the chat room. Kyle kind of liked it, I think, or Stefania did. One of them did. I think it's Kyle tonight, but I've got a pitcher in mind for my next pick. Although I need to take a first baseman at some point. The law requires me.
They could do one of those Lifetime or whatever they Hallmark movies on Kyle's career, because he basically grew up as a Matthew Berry fan.
Oh yeah,
and he made it his life's ambition to work for ESPN, and he made it happen. And I think it's just kind of, I like when people do it the right way. We get asked all the time, why, I'm better than you. I should be in Tout Wars.
Right.
I love it when people, Justin Mason, Nick Pollock, these people that do it the right way.
Plays the game the right way.
Well, just they don't take anything for granted. They work their tail off, and
He's a professional writer. Or do it like me and just show up because I have frequent flyer miles, and the guys that run the site can't make the draft. So,
oh my God! Did you just see what Podhorser did?
He's just going now.
He's just playing with us.
For
now.
those listening at home, Noah Syndergaard. Now to add, okay, so let me just.
Severino pick.
I'm far from picking. So his pitching staff is DeGrom, Verlander, Trinan, Kershaw, Floro, Severino, and Syndergaard. Wow.
Does he realize it's not a sim league?
He also has Acuna and Adalberto Mondesi and Byron Buxton and Christian Yelich. Anthony Rizzo is going to look around the room and Wilson Contreras and be like, what are you doing here, Podhorse?
He's going to be like that John Travolta. Like, where is everybody?
It's crazy. So I was going to take a picture there, and then I saw that at least I got a brief look. I could be wrong about multi-positions, but neither Rudy nor Joe, who are picking after me, have a first baseman either.
Okay. And
I only have two that I really wanted to get there. I mean, there's others I could get later, but one of them was Trey Mancini, so I decided to go ahead and take him. I don't like that they're moving the fences back like everybody else, but I think that's baked into where he's going now.
Oh, for sure.
One of them's going to end up with Sano. One's going to end up with Dahlbeck at this point, you would have to assume.
Kiner Falefa. Did not expect to see that name anytime soon.
Well, he's been given the job early with Young being hurt. So in a league like this, you take the per plate appearance value and you figure it out later.
It's a speed play, too. You're hoping he
also
wins.
One of the teams hurting on speed.
Yeah, and he's going to qualify at third eventually, so short third. Or he may already, for all I know. I got to double check on that. No, it's just short. Only short, but he will eventually qualify at third.
Hold out hope he catches, right? Is this a 5 or a 10 game eligibility league?
10, I believe. I think LABR's all 10.
I think
the catcher ship has sailed, but you never know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a third base play. Third base stolen base play is basically what that is. But AJ Pollock, a guy whose name we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I like AJ Pollock. I liked him a lot, maybe a little more in the draft and holds because I felt like my roster will be hopefully deep enough to ride the IL stints because he can be a little annoying with those. But yeah, I like AJ Pollock. The DH spot might help him. I feel like we say that about a lot of guys in the National League. You can dream on the DH in so many different ways now with National League teams.
So, yeah. Definitely light on starting pitching right now, but that's okay.
Well, is the guy you were looking at for your pitcher still there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's like 3 or 4 guys I'm looking at here.
Well, the guy that you were going to take instead of Mancini.
Yeah, that was the thing is I had 3 or 4 guys I would be happy to take at this spot at starting pitcher, and I had 2 guys I was going to be happy to take at first base. So
Madrigal's an interesting pick by Joe here. I mean, I get it with Sanchez and I've got to try to help my average, but it wasn't like his team batting average was in bad shape even with the addition of Sanchez prior.
Yeah. I've got another guy in mind, actually. It's another non-pitcher I might be taking. I believe you mentioned him on the Friday podcast, Jason. We'll see. I'm not going to mention him yet because if I don't take him, I might wait to take him the subsequent round. So I think he's about due.
Remind me when you make that pick. I'll be like, oh yeah, I did.
Yeah. I'm talking myself into taking the hitter and not the pitcher, by the way, because of that.
One thing I thought about, I don't think I've mentioned this since we've been talking tonight, but with this, not only with this not being a draft and hold, but also with us being in a lockout and spring training hasn't even started and a bunch of players are unsigned, I'm not totally against just having like a giant hole somewhere on my roster. I don't mean like pitching, like that would be too big of a hole, but like if I just have like came out of this draft with like no first baseman, like just a really bad first baseman. I mean, once players sign and NL teams shake out their DHs and guys get hurt in spring training, like that first fab run in this league is going to be wild.
Yeah.
Like there will be so many, there'll be some obvious ones, like some team will have picked a closer that we didn't draft or something like that. There'll be some obvious ones, but overall, like I'm not against just having like a really crummy first baseman coming out of this or something like that. Or like, I just think that's something that you can probably, the catcher situation, like if you have a really bad second catcher, there might be a team that we assume is going to sign a catcher and they don't, and someone's going to get more playing time than we anticipate, or a catcher who gets hurt between now and opening day. Like there's just going to be so much movement as far as fantasy boards go once the lockout ends and guys start signing like left, right, and center, and then spring training starts and guys show up and some of them are hurt right away and spring training is going to be shortened. So I'm definitely picking more for value tonight much more for value than I would in the NFBC draft and holds I've been doing, where I'm trying to have, do all the right things, the balanced roster and things like that.
I think that's smart. I mean, I think it's generally smart anyhow in leagues that are not, especially in leagues where you have trades, you have fab, you don't have an overall contest. I mean, I think that all makes sense.
Like, for example, when we usually do the drafts or auctions at Tout and we're about 2 weeks out of opening day. Well, if you come out of that one with like a really crummy third baseman or something, like that's probably actually going to be your third baseman at the start of the year, because there's going to be some movement between then and opening day, but not a ton. Right. So whereas right now in this one, like I feel like there's going to be so much movement that most positions you can probably find someone, if you're willing to, when you pick out this guy, to go a little aggressive on the first fab run after someone maybe who fits a positional need for you.
All right.
Like
so I'm going to do it.
If we don't get settlement, go ahead, Joe.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, finish your comment. I
was just going to say, like, I'm really not looking forward to next week of having to draft. If we have to strip out certain free agents, we can't even have them. Or, you draft somebody and then they jump leagues and you've got to, we can cash them back for half. It's like, great. You spend, 15 on somebody who's not a top. They're taking away the top 12 free agents. And so I think it's like, and then if you take somebody and one of the other guys, then he goes to the NL, then we're going to get half credit back on it.
All right. So I just took my player is Josh Rojas as the player. And I thought you mentioned him on Friday.
I did.
He checks a lot of boxes for me. I need a second baseman, multi-positions, and he runs some.
3 positions.
Yeah. So I tend to like him. I'm costing myself some sweet pitching, perhaps, but we'll see. Going to have to. That's right. I think there's more volume there than there is.
I do like the McKenzie pick just before you, though.
I don't like him. I don't know. I just.
What do you have against tall, skinny guys?
Schwindel got taken. That's a guy that's a frequent rostering of mine, but that's okay. I knew that's a risk I was willing to take. But I just think he's so wild, for one, and I don't think he's very durable.
The problem, what fascinates me about him is, like, the ERA was ridiculously high despite some other skills that were rather strong. But it was like, as most young pitchers, his non-fastballs, the league hit below 200 off both of them, swung and missed a ton at him. But the problem was he was behind in so many counts. He threw fastballs when he was behind. The league was just hunting him. He gave up something like 90% of his home runs were off fastballs. And if he can, in that one skill away group where he can get ahead in the count and then not have to throw his fastball as much, because the other stuff, the breaking pitch is just disgusting. And if he can lean on those and not throw as many fastballs, I think there's a step forward there for him, because when you strike out as many guys as he struck out in the low batting average and then have a 4.95 ERA, it just doesn't line up. And you can see that where a guy can, potentially shave a run off his ERA just with better command. It may not be this year, but I've taken some chances on him this year, and I like him. I also do like that Tommy Pham pick by Ryan Bloomfield, especially if Pham is willing to play first base, as he said in the news today.
Yeah.
Check out McKenzie's numbers after he got called up for the last time. And I know short sample, this, that, the other thing. But with Cleveland's reputation, I'm willing to take a shot on McKenzie. Mm-hmm. The control was so much better the last time he came up.
Yeah, it's just amazing what they're able to do with guys. I mean, even Logan Allen was a hot mess too, and they sent him down. Whatever they do in Akron, they come back and they do something with him. But Cleveland and Milwaukee are two of the teams that are finding these guys that have flaws and doing something with them.
Yeah, let's not mention any more Cleveland Milwaukee guys in case Fred's listening here. But no, he just took Alex Wood, which I like also.
That'd be a nice pick.
Could be a little more durable, but he's okay.
Maybe with the change delivery, it's not not so transformer-ish as he pitches now.
Well, I think because Podhorzer didn't take him, he's probably healthy.
Sure.
It's interesting Mike's doing that. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a strict value drafter, but he has a system, he sticks to it, and he usually does pretty well with it. So I kind of like seeing Mike get out of his lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
Zach
is the
Hendricks,
Justin Mason 2019 main event lane that he's swimming in right now. Somebody's got a question in the chat about will Rosenthal get signed to close somewhere?
I just hope
maybe, but I mean, he had hip surgery. That's we got to see what he looks like. We got to see him pitch first. If he's going to be able to close somewhere, he may get a cheap one.
I had him third overall closer last year, so I recused myself from this conversation.
That's all I could figure. I mean, he sure. I mean, somebody will take a chance. The guy was throwing triple digits before he got hurt. Somebody will give him a chance, but it's going to be cheap. Wouldn't be the worst late round dart throw.
This was a fun turn, Jeff. You appreciate the puns, so I took the Alex's Wood and Cobb on a turn.
So that's pretty corny of you.
Totally corny, but I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I think it's Cobb's fun. I think he could. I mean, I don't think he's going to go all Gossman-y on us, but I think he will be good.
He's already throwing enough splitters. And Andrea takes her first closer, and McGee, who we've talked about a couple times already, and that's exactly who I would expect her to take with the approach of taking closers late. It's nice.
Well, yeah, she shares the same approach to closers as Lenny does.
Oh, yes. She's from the Melnick school of I don't draft closers before round 17.
Yeah, kind of like Joe, for that matter. Having a few people like that in the league kind of skews the closer values a little bit too.
Yes. Oh, there's the Patrick Corbin dart. That's the one I get. He's getting a lot of run of late the last week where people want to buy in again.
But why? The velocity's down.
Because the slider's so filthy, guys.
Not anymore. It's terrible now. That's the problem.
Now it's not Andrew Heaney as this year's Robbie Ray. It's now Patrick Corbin. That's going to be this year's Robbie Ray.
I just picked up Heaney for 3 in a 15-team auction. $3.
I think he could be previous year's Robbie Ray. But then again, I got to fly my wrong flag on Robbie Ray. I was not on him. I was a vehement never Robbie Ray guy. I predict Carlos Carrasco I just want to say Carlos Carrasco goes here to Podhorzer. That fits the mold.
Yeah, that would be a good, decent call.
Or Strasburg. No, Strasburg. It's so Strasburg.
I was going to make that point.
Strasburg makes a lot of sense. Do you have to go Strasburg this early? Actually, I think you do.
Corbin and Strasburg are 53% of the Nats payroll this year. 53%.
It just shows how cheap they are. It doesn't show how. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're getting paid a lot too.
And then Juan Soto's next at 15. But the other point I was going to make is Ian Kahn put me on Ray because he took him for $4 in AL LABR last year, and I remember afterwards going, you know what? I should have made you go more. He goes, man, I would have gone 10. So I ended up paying 8 in talent for him. And I
is Carrasco. Sorry to interrupt.
And I got him, but that's where I was not in the never Ray, but in an AL, I don't know. It's tough to be a never anybody in a single format. Eventually, somebody's got to take the guy.
Yeah, I famously said there is no upside to Rick Porcello, and then he won the Cy Young. So there was that.
Well, you were kind of right though.
Yeah. So I was looking at Bailey Ober last round. So that was the guy I was hoping he wouldn't go. So I know, and
wow,
there's still so many good pitchers I like. Yeah. I want to shout out. It's always fun to have the guy next to you. Just so you look for red crosses in your draft tool to see who he's going to take next. But
yeah, that team could be a world beater, but it could also be the 15th place team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allen's going with that young upside. McKenzie and then Josiah Gray here.
Yeah. Interesting pick.
Yeah, if awesome breaking balls were a category, he has got the market cornered now.
Honestly, he's the second Jay Gray that I would take. I would take John Gray before Josiah. I will be taking either John Gray or Hitter X with my next pick, depending on if one of them
laying it all out there.
Because I don't think our esteemed competition is listening to me right now. They're listening to Sirius XM broadcasts. By the way, Rick Wolf, Glenn Colton, Steve Gardner on that broadcast. I'd listen to that too. Good stuff there. If you have Sirius XM, plus Ryan Bloomfield's doing his own version of this. So we're all just talking. None of us are listening right now.
Who's going to bust the pitcher run? We've had 10 consecutive pitchers go, or 9.
Have we really? Well, if my hitter is available, I will take him because he's gone too far.
Joe's got to take a pitcher here. I mean, Joe hasn't taken a pitcher in 5 rounds.
Well, we're still on Steve, right? I'm
just looking ahead to trying to figure out if Steve does it, then Joe's going to take at least one pitcher here.
Yeah, I'm only at 6 pitchers, so. Yeah, interesting. I have a batting average problem, by the way, guys. I definitely do not have much batting average, but I don't like building a team like that. But
there goes the pitcher break. If you're gonna, you said you were taking a pitcher or a hitter with your next one.
A pitcher, I'll even tell you it's an outfielder, which I already have 4, but I think there's one guy that's hanging around.
Yeah, I think we're thinking about the same guy on the heels of your problem on your team as well.
Yeah. Well, once when Yuli Gurriel went and Michael Brantley went, those were some of my late batting average targets. And once those guys went, I mean, I just kind of like, okay, I'll just steer into it a little bit. Joe's on the radio right now. So extra drama. Joe's like, I don't need a pause. I got your stinking pause right here. 2 skills relievers.
He's got his skills. His skills.
And for those of you who are not looking at the draft board, it's Devin Williams and Paul Sewald that just went there.
That's a fun turn.
And by the way, 13 of the last 14 picks are pitchers.
Wow.
With Joe Adele, the only guy breaking that up.
R. Sands asks, is this an OBP league? It is not. That's why I'm complaining about my batting average, because it stinks. John Gray just went, so hopefully I'll be taking my hitter now. We'll see. Tau Wars, on the other hand, is an OBP league, for what it's worth. So,
and that's why I took Mondesi last year. Yeah.
Yes. Shoot, I gave the wrong Gray earlier. All that talk, and then Jesus Sanchez. That's another interesting name. Rudy Gamble just took him. How much do you do? Like, we're all pretty acutely aware of what Tim's going to do. We know what Joe's doing. I've been paying attention to Rudy's draft, and of course, Podhorser's caught our attention. How much do you pay attention to what your opponents are doing in a snake draft like this? For me, I don't do it a lot.
Early on,
go ahead, Todd.
I'd say early on, I want to, for instance, Zim and the Jeff Zimmerman in the speakers draft, did his pitching thing. I want to be aware early on, but after a while, it's not as important to me. But early on, I want to see if I have to, is a certain position or scarcity of a category being affected by a strategy. After that, not really.
Yeah. All right, I'm taking my hitter. He is the major league leader in RBIs last year, Mr. Adam Duvall. Come on down.
You are leaning into it.
Dude, I mean, the thing is, it's not an overall contest. I'm getting like buckets of power and, for really cheap, I think. And I just think he hung around way too long. I am leaning into the lack of batting average. So my team's
Leroy
gonna
Jenkins. Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah, but to your question, I do look, as I was saying earlier, the teams around me as I'm trying to predict, like, who's going to be there, what have they taken, that type of thing. But then to echo Todd's point, if somebody is doing something crazy where like Jeff took 6 pitchers in a row early on, to kind of say, okay, that's going to push everything else up. I need to adjust. But I do tend to, take a look and see how those other folks are doing. Same thing in an auction. I want to see who's sitting on the cash, so to try to figure out how to get them to spend some of it too. R.I.P. Laura, but Laura used to be the guy that sat on money. I was always trying to figure out how he was going to spend some of that money. And we go into the turn, and he'd always be the guy with the most money going into the first break, and then he'd come out of it and just spend like on 4 or 5 guys. And you're like, that's who you were sitting on? But he would do the same thing every year.
See, the problem with trying to figure out what Lar was going to do is Lar didn't know what Lar was going to do.
That's true. It's Zen drafting. I have no plan. Go by feel.
Yeah.
But I just remember he'd come out of the break. He'd, $210 left. And then he would just come out and buy like 5 guys in a row. You're thinking, okay, yep, well, these are the guys I was looking on. Nope, they're gone.
I think in an auction draft, salary cap draft, I made a mistake one year of not paying attention to what closer prices were going for. And it seemed, I was just shocked. I bought 3 closers for such a cheap amount because closers were going for nothing. So, I mean, it was kind of, I'm not getting bargains. It was kind of a silly, I just wasn't paying attention. And kind of regretted that because it was the year after I won the ultimate auction. It was the following year in the ultimate auction. So it was not a good year to make that mistake.
Yeah.
Here's a pro tip for those who are going to be co-managing in an ultimate or in an auction. Grab a partner who wants control but smokes. So when they go out in their smoke breaks, you can do what you want. That's how we won the year before.
Elisa Hernandez is a guy I like, but I didn't expect him to go this early.
He's kind of the old man of that staff at 26 years old.
Old man, but less experienced than some of his
exactly.
compatriots.
Earlier, we were making a comment about McGee and Barlow land, and they end up on the same team.
Yep. I have no problem with where Barlow went there. I think that's a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah, no, given what's left on the market, if you're gonna wait on saves, that's a guy, as Todd will tell you, since he took both Barlows in one league. This is what you get down here at the bottom. Right now, he has the job in Texas. But this time last year, it was funny. We were on the Jose Leclerc and Jonathan Hernandez wagon, and both guys were hurt within 2 weeks of one another in the spring. And then we ended up with Ian Kennedy out of nowhere, off the top rope, coming up with all those saves before he got traded away.
And re-signs with Texas this year and takes it back. Could happen.
Don't do that to my DeMarcus Evans shares. No.
Barlow collected saves at every level he was at. So that doesn't mean we don't use closer of the future near as much as we used to. But that told me something. And he didn't have much experience, and the ratios were, they're artificially low. But even when you regress and you look at the history, I think it's worth a chance. And the thing about that one is you don't know who to get as the number two. I kind of like going Soto and Fulmer because you got one of the two,
Right.
One's a wasted pick. The other's a value pick, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know who to handcuff or, use as the hedge or insurance for Barlow. Probably because there isn't.
Fred, stop taking Giants. Take one. There you go. There's a non-Giant.
There's not a Giant.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe he ends up there.
Yeah, he could. I don't know. My numbers say that Soler was the right pick. His ADP is way earlier than this. So I took him. He was not part of the plan tonight.
I forget whose podcast somebody mentioned the fact that what if the Rockies signed Soler?
Right.
All of a sudden you're like, hey.
It could happen. The Rockies do stuff like that.
He'd have to DH because can you imagine him roaming that outfield?
No, I don't want to imagine that.
That would be a feat. Although we could say the same thing about Schwarber to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Cruz, anybody to go DH. Nelson Cruz is the perfect age for the Rockies. Waiting on closers and catchers is the school of Melnick, yes?
See?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. It's been a while since I've drafted in a league with Lenny, but I mean it's usually wait on
too, actually.
Wait on catchers and draft Cameron Maven is what I remember the most. I him buying a bunch of outfield, he had $100 outfielder. He'd buy 4 outfielders out of the gate, and then in dollar days he'd be taking his relievers and catchers.
And one of the just advantages of being in a league with Lenny is he's going to throw out the closers. So if you want to, if that's one of your things to decide on or learn the closer market, Lenny's going to do it for you. So you can then learn another market, right? So I kind of like being in that, knowing you guys were talking earlier about knowing trends. That's just another trend.
True.
He's going to throw out whoever is. We're doing NL tout in a month. He's going to throw out Josh Hader, whatever his selection is.
That's a good point. Kyle Quantrill. I purposely didn't mention his name when you were talking about the Cleveland Guardians because a lot of people are like, "Oh, fade that." But I mean, at 278, What's wrong with that price?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
I like that. Scott
Well,
Pianowski
two
with
Cleveland picks,
Quantrill.
Savali
That's
and
such a
Quantrill went.
that's a very much a Scott Pianowski pick, by the way, too. Like, people aren't in love with him. I'll take him. All right. Is it Strasburg time?
Yes.
I feel
Obviously,
like
he
it
has
is.
so many of these pitchers. Like, he needs to find a hitter, I feel like.
Yeah, but Austin Hayes actually does have a red cross next to his name because he ended the year with a surgery to repair.
That's
his
so
core.
boring by him.
I know. Well, he just knows, like, he's daring us to try to take Strasburg.
He's out of ideas.
I know. He's just like, come on. You know you want to do it. I dare you. Well, I'm going to draft an organization here. I like this guy a lot. I don't know if he's going to get all the innings, but I need pitching. I think, a guy with good skills. Drew Rasmussen.
Oh, yeah.
Come on down. Jason, did I screw up?
No, I honestly, I have a tough time grading him. I don't. But I've said this on a couple of things. When you watch him pitch, I love how he forces the issue with hitters because he just doesn't nibble. He just attacks the zone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to work high. I'm going to work low. But I'm not nibbling. I'm just attacking the zone and forcing you in the counts. And if I get ahead in the count, that puts you on the defensive. And so I love the approach. It just doesn't come through on the numbers. You look at the strikeout minus walk rate. The numbers don't look great. And there's another pitcher sitting out there I would say the same thing about. And I would bet that Joe's going to take him. But yeah, that's where I see. So I have a tough time grading him, but I just love the way he attacks hitters and forces the issue. I just don't know if it works over the course of a full season.
I think Tampa does a good job of protecting him, though. So
Yes.
It's a good organization for those skills.
Yep.
And the other thing is you can't confuse him with Dennis, because it took me like half of last year to wait. He's like young. He's not an old veteran. He's good and young. So. Well, Jason, I'm in a league that you're not in, so I may get to take Alcala as a reserve pick in this 15-teamer.
There you go. He is one of like 6 guys I have 100% shares of.
He will get drafted in this draft.
I've got the second reserve.
He didn't spoil it for me because you might have for Fred, but Fred does his own research. He knows. But someone since I'm not going to spend another active spot on a reliever, that's like I'm hoping that's the pool I'm going to be fishing in from some like a reserve spot too. I think.
Yeah.
The first reserve may be a little heavy, but since I don't get another one until number 29, let's go. My only closer is McGee, who I mentioned, and Kittredge. So
yeah,
it's a standalone league, and there is FAB, so there is that.
Sure.
All right, gotta make sure.
There's honestly, and that's the problem. There's a lot of guys that I like as potential, guys with skills, not the role yet. But unfortunately, most of them are in the National League. So, like if I was in NL, my NL only drafts aren't until April. And so there are plenty, and I can easily see myself taking that route in my NL only leagues where I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to maybe take one good guy and just fade the rest of that and then go grab these options later and, take the darts on the Art Warrens, different things like that. The other name I'm trying to avoid only because I know Jeff wants to take him again. I'm not in the league. Can't snake me on him this time.
There you go.
What round are you guys in wrestling? I'm on the clock again. I had no idea.
I'm not in wrestling.
I think we're in the 3rd still, but I haven't checked my email in a while, but I also auto pick I'm on the turn. I'm the 12-13 turn. So
round.
So some chat questions. Somebody's
Guys,
asking.
I'm dipping out for 1 second. I need a power cord. I'll be right back.
No problem.
Do we think Pagan's the favorite to close in San Diego? I would say no, because Pagan was there last year and he didn't get the closing job. I don't believe they view him as the option. I think they view him as as an option, but not as the option. Only because, again, they had options in-house last year and they went and got somebody else at the last second. Anybody disagree?
Yeah. I'm not going to draft Pagan in this league for the 3rd year in a row. I'm just going to say that. I'm 0 for 2 with Pagan. Remember, 2 years ago was when he got traded from the Rays to the Padres right after the draft.
Yeah.
And that was fun. By the way, Steve Gardner called the bluff of Mike Podhorzer and took Steven Strasburg just now.
And Joe took Bobby Dahlbeck, like I said. So that I'm guessing Sano's. No, Rudy took Jesus Aguilar. So
You're right. Yeah.
Got one of them.
I still have a corner spot left, by the way. But,
there you go. And then somebody else had a question. When you guys are drafting, do you stick to a list?
This is from Jeff Whitley.
What makes you change? I don't stick to a list. I like having options. I will put, making the old football joke, like you want to script your first few picks, but you got to have like, okay, if this guy's going to go, how do you change it? So I just like having options. If I'm looking at a specific player, like I've mentioned the Dahlbeck Sano type of thing. Like I like Dahlbeck better, but if I miss him, then okay, if I'm in this phase, that's what, I do something like that. Or if you're in the earlier, like the CJ Crone, Josh Bell, Reese Hoskins type of, like, that's a pool of one guy. So if you're looking, I'm going to take first, and somebody makes the decision for you with one of those guys, okay, you're down to the next. So I like to keep those options open, but I'm kind of looking at how things pop up. And I typically let how I'm tracking in categories determine which direction I'm going to go, but scripting out what I'm doing, no way.
Unless I've got like a really full on plan, I'm going to do what I perceive to be value taking. I mean, I'll say this with the NFBC. Your draft spot well in advance.
You're up, by the way.
You have to have an idea what you're going to do with critical spots, speed, saves, starters.
Jeff,
I think
you're up.
I know I am.
Okay.
But I'm monologuing too. So, all right. And I'm going to shock
you. You're riffing. I just didn't know if I didn't see you. Like, I'm like,
no, I had him set up my cue, but
16 seconds left.
Yep. I'm taking Aaron Ashby, this year's Freddie Peralta, which was last year's Corbin Burns. But no, I know I'm kind of, everyone's so focused on who is the next Robbie Ray, but who's the next Brewer breakout pitcher? It's Aaron Ashby. Lots of strikeouts there.
It could be either direction, though.
Luke Voigt's a good pick,
it could be in the back end of the bullpen, or it could be in the rotation. It could be on it with Ashby. It could go either way.
Yeah, true that. By the way, good pick by Podhorzer. That's the guy I should have considered taking in Luke Voigt. Fits his team motif, obviously, but it's also, I just queued up, but it also, huge upside potential there, and I need a corner infielder that would have fit well with my team. This marks the first draft, I think, where I haven't got one or of the other of Schwindel or Wisdom. I don't want to make a pulling teeth joke in front of Todd right now too soon, but yeah.
No, that's fine. I'd like the two of them. They both have holes, but they're both going to play.
Yeah. I think Wisdom is riskier than Schwindel.
Yeah, personally. And I'm thinking of a conversation I had with Tristan Cockcroft about Wisdom when we're going over the ESPN rankings. He's like, he's just not very good. I'm like, well, he's going to play. But he's like, he's just not very good. So that was just I know.
I mean, the strikeouts were epic.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah. So you guys were alluding to the San Diego closer. I should have taken the guy I like over Alcala just now. So now I'm sweating him making it to the end of the second round of reserves.
Yeah.
7 more picks and he's still there.
That just reminded me to put him in my queue. Thanks. Although, again, I've asserted that I'm not going to take another reliever right now, but I might lie about that if there's certain value I see. But yeah.
And you guys were asking about the lists. To me, they're just bookkeeping. I mean, you have to order them somehow. You can do it alphabetical, by birthday. I mean, I do put my list is in a rough order of air quote value, but I don't stick to it. It's just that's the way it's ordered because that's probably the way I'm going to be crossing them off.
Well, we can name players by name now because I'm guessing your guy was Suarez, who unsurprisingly, least surprising pick of the year, Tim McLeod took him. Yeah, we say that because Tim takes everybody that comes over from Japan.
Yep.
Just have to know when he's going to exercise that pick.
Yeah. Well, it's always the answer is always sooner than you think.
I'm in a league that our friend Perry Van Hook runs. That's Tim was in, and I know Tim was there, and I got Suarez a couple rounds ahead of him, and he was kind of upset. Not upset at me, whatever. He's like, I didn't know you were going to do that. So this is my strategy in this league because this is a league where you can do pitching moves on Friday. So it just I'm going to get Suarez. So you have 4 or 5 relievers in your lineup, and then just float in a couple of whoever has a start that week. So I just load up my reserves with relievers because I have 6 relievers active at a time because only 3 guys start in a 3 or 4 day period. So that's why I had Suarez up on the list. He's okay. Oh, I'm picking again so soon. All right. Dane Dunning.
I do like how quickly this draft moves with the 1 minute clock. I guess after doing 2 and 4 hour drafts for the last few weeks, this is like, wow, this is so fast.
I know. First live draft of the year for me. I'm liking it.
Yeah, I'm kind of dreading TGFBI if we do get some closure to these labor negotiations. I mean, the TGFBI kicks off Monday, and if we get all these, if this something happens this weekend and these moves are happening, Jeff, I think you mentioned it on the Sunday podcast with Scott. Like there's going to be some absolute slow playing of the clock.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be that guy.
I mean, if I'm really going to steer into the lack of batting average, Miguel Sano is probably just calling my name here.
Screaming your name at this point.
Yeah. Lo Kane is a very nice stolen base guy there, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, a little long in the tooth, but
still runs.
Yeah. Still runs.
And there's warts on everyone at this point.
For sure. I've got 2 pitchers I really, really want coming up and a handful of corners that I'm just lukewarm about, but I need corners. No, I don't know.
Ray's got to take at least 1 pitcher this turn around on you because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He only has 6 pitchers through 20 rounds.
Well, if I get one of my 2, I'll take the pitcher probably.
So this is an example earlier, like talking about looking ahead. This would be an example of looking ahead at something. Whereas like you're trying to, whoever asked that question earlier, this would be an example. It's like, okay, do I take the pitcher now? Do I take it later? But I've got a team who's 14-6 on his roster splits. Pretty good chance he's taking pitchers with his next 2 guys. So maybe I'll just lean on the pitcher and hope the hitter makes it back.
Yeah, I was already leaning that direction anyhow. So
I don't need to advise you. I'm just talking about.
Yeah, no, it's a good one should do that. Not you should do that. One should do that. Here's a guy that hasn't been taken yet that I think is kind of interesting. Galen Murray brings up. Just don't mess up Connor Joe's at bats.
But the Rockies will because that's what they do.
I like.
He's old enough now that they won't. Actually, he's not some young up and coming guy. He's 30. He's 29, 30. I mean, he's in my queue. There goes Miguel.
He's 22 in Rockies years, so that works.
I like Connor. I profiled him last night. I like what I'm seeing. I mean, he's a Coors hitter, but there's enough Coors series that you're going to take advantage.
Trevino just went.
Even with the DH, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about your first base options here.
I
know what I would do, but that's me.
Yeah, I know. Well, Andrew Vaughn doesn't qualify at first, so that was kind of like a bummer for me.
Go for one of the guys that qualifies at multiple positions, first base and something else.
Yeah.
Might as well use the spot for some flexibility at this point.
Yeah, but I'm going to go take the pitcher first. I know who the hitter the first baseman I'm going to take. It's going to be way late, I think. I am going to go another Ray here. Not a shame about Ray, but this guy hasn't. This is go where the puck is moving, not where it's been pick. the dude was 22 last year. Everyone's like saying he's a failure. I'm talking about Luis Patino, by the way.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still here.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's a target for me. I think he's someone with. I know he's got a pitch he needs to improve. He's got the organization that's pretty good at identifying what needs to be improved. I worry a little bit about durability and going deep into games. The guy really desperately needs an opener in front of him, but that's half the raise though too. But just so much upside.
They have a really good track record of guys in their second year with the club.
Yeah,
and the improvements, and guys going deep in the game. That's never going to be something that happens there. It just isn't. Not the way they leverage the bullpen and the track record. It's you're 18 to 22 batters and you're out. And if you're efficient, like the Rasmussen earlier, he's a guy that can do that, and he can get into the sixth inning and still be under his batter's face count. Whereas there were times where Patillo couldn't get out of the first inning. I mean, it honestly was a hit and miss thing with him. Sometimes he'd come out and couldn't command stuff, and it'd be a 30-pitch first inning. You're like, oh my God. And there'd be other times where he'd come out 1, 2, 3, 11 pitches. You're like, where was that last time out?
Yeah. So your guy Andrew Heaney went immediately after Patino, and that was my either or
championship.
Yeah. Alan made a good pick. Alan Harrison took him. Gregory Soto, who is actually he went well after Michael Fulmer, even though Soto is was tabbed as the closer, such that it is. I found that interesting.
Somebody's asking in the chat, is Gonsolin still available? He is.
Tony Gonsolin is still available. It's no trust in his health. That's why he's still available. But yeah, he's in my queue. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know if I'm man enough to take him with this next pick. So Fred will have 2 bites of that apple. If I don't take him, I might take him. So we'll see.
Trying to look at position. There goes Vaughn.
There goes Andrew Vaughn. He's falsely listed at first base in the RT Sports database.
Yeah.
Just kind of frustrating, but
Joe's got Madrigal and Lux. Never mind, he's got second baseman and a middle infielder and a shortstop. That's first base corner.
I know who I'm going to take. He doesn't even have a job yet if I get him.
Yeah, Joe's got an interesting build there. He's got both Arias and Madrigal, who may combine for 3 home runs.
Right.
But
he's going to have a lot of batting average, though.
Yeah, and it offsets the Dahlback Sanchez, and I get it. I mean, this would be I believe I have a rather similar one of my NFBC teams is built in similar fashion. But I get it. It's kind of what you have to if you take on both guys like that can give you a combined 70 home runs, but may hit 220 doing it, then you've got to find a way to offset that. And Arias right now, unless the Twins do something, is projected to hit leadoff for that club in front of some good bats. And while he doesn't steal bases, he has historical, very strong on base percentage and would have the ability to score a bunch of runs. Just doesn't drive himself in. He doesn't run, so he's got he's
a 2-category player.
Yeah, he is.
And I don't like doing offsets. I feel like we're perpetually chasing tail.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are times when you can insert that there, but I don't look at my predicament in batting average. I don't think it's valuable to give up other categories just to try to cosmetically make my batting average look a little bit better.
Right.
Cody Bell, there's some guys are going to be pretty important to me, like Cody Bellinger, for instance.
Do you feel is this the same? Do you have the same opinion in a if this was a draft and hold league?
Yeah, if it's an overall contest, it's different. And draft and hold, it's a little bit different. But in a singular universe league, especially one where there's fab and trade, I mean, I'd rather be short in saves and stolen bases than batting average like I am. I think it's a little uncomfortable to be short there especially because it's tied to runs frequently. Not always, but power off it also pairs well with runs scored. But there's a couple ways you can approach that there.
Actually, runs pairs best with plate appearances.
Yeah.
But the game theory argument for not worrying about batting average is it's hard to tell because of the standings the way they are, but top to bottom, it's the most tightly bunched category. And it's also the most volatile, right? I mean, a couple of guys overproduce the expectations and you move up a ton of points. So I don't like paying for something which can sort of happen organically. And that to me, but the flip side of that, of course, is you can lose a whole lot of points if a couple of guys crater. But
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna take a chance here. He's unsigned, but I'm hoping he signs and with a crappy team and runs forever. And that's Jonathan VR.
Yeah, I was kind of. I mean, we talked about him earlier, saying that we thought he would be a 17 to 18. And if he ended up in the right situation, he would have gone in round 10 if he had ended up in one of these places where it's like, here, go hit every day and play. So, nice pick.
I think so. Let's hope so.
I mean, there was a time third base is loaded. It's not. So it's not even an issue there.
Yeah.
I'll always have a soft spot for a VR. My Kettle Marte year, in the NFBC main event, the guy before me says, don't get mad at me, I'm taking Marte. I said, all right, I'll just take VR, who then went out and got 30 homers and 50 steals that year.
Beautiful.
And I still didn't win the league, which tells you how good my NFBC track record was. But
then the next pick, Andres Jimenez there too, right after you, Jeff. I mean, that's a nice pick by Mike with the dual position eligibility there and his ability to run.
Dual league eligibility, majors and minors.
That's it.
Sorry, was that?
That too. But no,
I don't know. He could,
round 22,
he's got a chance.
A guy that's got the potential to steal 20 bases.
For sure.
That means he's stealing every time he reaches base. But
yeah, and I've got a chance at VR not getting signed or getting cut.
Right.
Lots of ranges of outcomes there.
But his team needed that kind of late speed dart because around all of those injuries, he hasn't taken a stolen after the Mondesi Buxton combo. That's been it. There has been no other stolen bases really touched.
Yeah. Alec Baum is a nice last year's bum.
When you wait to touch third base until round 21, you get Longoria and Baum as your two guys.
Yeah.
21 and 22. Actually, one of them's a utility because he's got Goldschmidt and Votto. I do like this Yan Gomes as a second catcher pick too, considering if Wilson Contreras is Gonzville, as most of us assume he is, that would be Gomes' job the rest of the way, primarily.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I always like him
to play because he's the better defensive catcher anyhow.
And if they are going to trade Contreras, you can see playing some DH to protect him a little bit too.
Last thing they need is that guy getting hurt, and they're trying to trade him in his walkie, right?
Yeah.
Well, I took James McCann. About as boring as a pick gets in round 22.
He'll play.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Here for the reserves. Let's see what they look like.
Oh, there's your pick, Jason. Manny Margot.
Yeah, some nice speed plays here in round 22. That's three of them.
Chaz McCormick's a really
And
nice
Voyage
play.
4.
I
Want
like
your
that.
late speed, folks? There it is.
There is late speed to be had, no doubt. It obviously comes with some warts. There's two more, at least he plays catchers that I see here, out there. Fred, you got your two catchers, right?
I do. Go ahead.
All right, so I see it as Stallings and Barnhart are the two guys that are going to play a lot still that are still available.
Yeah, I considered both of them.
Yeah. I see as one is the choice over the other, but who knows?
I kind of like Stallings. Actually, Danny Jansen's also, although he's a part timer though. I mean, he's not a full. He's a higher upside, but not guaranteed to play as much. What do you guys make out of Alfaro in San Diego? What's he going to do for them? Because they've got like 4 catchers.
It depends upon if they use Nola elsewhere, right? I mean, and at some point you get Campusano.
I don't see that Campusano makes the roster out of camp, but I do see him being a factor in the season. Yeah. How long are they going to carry Caratini as Darvish's caddy? And to your point, Nola and Alfaro, how long do they coexist?
Right.
The Padres are also a really trade-heavy group, so coming out of the lockout, I could see them flipping one of those catchers.
I mean, coming from Marlins Park or Lone Depot Park, I believe at this point, I mean, that's Petco Park is the one field that's an upgrade.
Yeah,
I'm making my annoyed face because Ryan Bloomfield just took Carlos Hernandez, who I thought
that's the other pitcher I was talking about with Rasmussen, by the way. Similar type of guy.
Again, I heard you talking about him on the podcast. I heard Rob Silver talking about all the pitch overlays with him and all that. It's like, shut up, shut it. But it did not work.
Yeah. For a guy like Rob that wasn't going to play this year, he's sure playing a lot this year.
Again.
And talking a bunch. Every time I go on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to take a break.
It's just like every time that Joe Sheehan retires from golf or poker. I mean, sorry, Joe's not even here to defend himself on that one.
I looked at Sugo as a late flyer.
His path to the Pirates was weird because he was like winning games and then sitting the next day. A lot of that.
He was rather terrible the last month of the season. Like, I know a lot was made about what he did in August, but it's almost like the league was like, oh yeah, this guy can't hit velocity. And they got back by him. I mean, he was really I frankly don't get the helium he's been getting in some neck of the woods this winter. Well, maybe I'm biased from watching him just get blown away every time he sees velocity, but
yeah,
I think 23rd is a good round to see what he can do.
Oh, in this spot, but I've seen him elsewhere. I've seen him elsewhere, being talked at like as a target. I'm like,
oh, okay, no.
He's no target.
I'm making a cardinal sin by taking my second prospect, but I'm taking Riley Green.
He's been taken as high as 242.
I'm afraid to wonder if that was me.
No.
This was
like his trend.
Loves him. James loves him. I like Riley Green's skills, and again, I need some stolen base upside for later. He'll definitely start the year in the minors, though. That's the one downside of taking him there. But again, like Fred was saying, you draft kind of like skills, and maybe it's not what Fred was saying by taking a prospect that's not going to play, but don't be like kind of just chasing need is what I think is possibly true, because there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to merge.
Something we talked about, I did the HQ pod today, and I think it'll be out soon. I don't think I'm speaking out of school or spoiler alert, but we talked about some of these rookies like Green. They could be playing while the major leaguers aren't, and could force their way onto a roster, depending upon what the ultimate agreement is with the CBA. So, some of these players, even a Bobby Witt, I guess, but he should break camp anyway. But some of these other guys like Green, they may benefit if the season is delayed a bit. Ray made the point. I'll give him the credit, but I think something I've heard other people talk about it too.
Yeah.
I like that pick.
The Tyler Wells, yeah.
DVR.
Tyler Wells closes over Sulcer in Baltimore.
I like the arm, and at this point, DVR turned me onto the arm, and then I, did a little bit of the research, and I, like even though he's a lefty, I like what I see. Baltimore won't generate a ton of saves, but I like the arm.
I'd be
Wells
stunned if
had
he didn't
shoulder
get
inflammation in
double-digit
here,
saves.
though.
Yep, exactly. How many profiles do we write, and then oh geez, I wish I knew, because if he's healthy, it's a completely different tenor of the of these 80 words.
Yeah. Dominic Smith could benefit from the DH quite a bit. The Mets have like 6 guys that could benefit from it, though.
I wish someone out there would write an article on that or a podcast talking about benefiting from the DH.
That one did really well, by the way.
I was being tongue in cheek. I mean, everybody's doing it.
I know. I'm just saying you got a lot of listens on the DH cast.
Well, it's certainly because they're not looking at us, or they're not turned on by what they see on the screen.
Todd Zola with the self-effacing joke. Who had 11:09 p.m. for that?
Hey, look at Joe just took in the 23rd.
My camera adds a few chins.
There goes Alcala. Joe's not listening to this, is he? I doubt it. He's probably right. He's a guy. That's a typical like wheelhouse pick for Joe.
He tells me he likes reading my bold predictions, so maybe he got it from there.
Probably. Or
I was going to say with Rudy's team, for somebody who basically kicked saves down the road forever, like he picked up Lucas Sims in the 14th, and he got Garrett Whitlock on the 21st and Wells in the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the best you could do when you kick it. You had 2 teams kicking saves down the road, and Andrea with McGee, Barlow, and Steckenrider of the trio. I would lean her way now, but as far as overall upside, that group that Rudy has could be big.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck Bender, what do you know? You're right.
Yeah, I told you. Bender's good. I like Bender.
He is.
I'm frankly low-key surprised he hasn't taken Chad Green yet.
I'll give him time.
I might not give him that chance. We'll see. I like Chad Green. I don't like Aroldis. Hot take time.
Yeah, and that league I was talking about with Perry, I love Chad Green because he gives you volume in strikeouts, and you don't care. You don't need the saves. You just want the innings and the strikeouts.
Yeah.
Remember that year that he stunk in the first 3 appearances, but then he nails the rest of the year.
Yeah, he struck out 100 as a reliever.
Yeah, I mean, but he had 3 horrible performances, and but by the end of the year, he was as good as there was.
Yep.
See, when we talk about this year's Robbie Ray, I mean, Tanner Rainey fits it from the can't throw the ball for a strike and could get it, from the closer point of view.
Yeah. And it's not exactly, and his teammate hasn't even been drafted yet, correct? Yeah. His teammate's
correct. He is not. I kind of had him penciled in on Andrew's team, but she hasn't gone there yet.
This is one of the changes in fantasy in that in a league like this with a reserve and et cetera, these speculative closers didn't go. They were available in Fab. They're now being picked up in the reserve rounds. It's just a change. Obviously, draft and hold, they're up 3 rounds ahead of this, but
right.
I think it's interesting that they're not even going to the free agent list. They're being picked in the middle reserves.
Correct, Mundo. So there goes Kyle Finnegan, 2 picks after. I love it. So they don't get a stranglehold on that. You get to choose one or the other. That's a good story. All right, this was mentioned in the chat room earlier. I wish he were third base eligible like he was at one point in time, but Connor Joe, come on down. I kind of like him.
Does he have first base?
No, he's just outfield.
I think he'll pick it up if in season he might. Well, with Crone there, hard to say.
Crone could DH and Joe would play first.
Year.
Joe played 14 games at first last year, so
yeah, that's kind of
missed. But Crone is kind of injury prone, and
and Joe may be a better glove than Crone.
Yeah, I mean,
Todd,
you remember how he got hurt in Detroit, playing first base, got hurt pretty badly.
Yes, point stands. Todd, you're a better glove than Crone.
It's like Scott Jensen saying he's a better outfielder than Jeff McNeil, which is also true. But
they called me Boomer in Little League. They called me Scoop and they called me Boomer. I couldn't hit, I couldn't throw, but I could scoop. And of course, that was after George Scott. We were both built similarly, but he could hit. He had the highest for such a big husky. He had the highest voice. It was just so weird to hear him talk.
Never heard him. Oh. Nothing really standing out in the reserve so far. Not exactly the first Calhoun I thought would be taken.
Cole? Did Cole go or?
Yeah,
I didn't have
Cole went.
Oh,
he's another guy.
I think he's better than Willie. What has Willie done?
What does he have the chance? I mean, what he's done is gotten hit by 2 fastballs. That's really been. I want to give Willie another chance because
can't run, can't play defense.
Can't get out of
that.
the way
He's
of the
great.
What can he do?
So I mean, he got busted in the face by Urias, and he got busted in the arm by Chris Bubich. But,
true. All these things are true. I mean, I see the reasons what's held him back. That, and I don't think he's been an organizational favorite wherever he's been either, but I think he's also had some bad luck too. I'll rapidly concede the luck point.
He's in the one more chance club.
Yeah. Texas really needs some of these guys to step up so they can, to make the Semien and Seager signings worth it.
I don't think those signings were for this. I mean, obviously it's the longer, the longer play, but it's years 3 and it's the years 2 through 4 or 2 through 5 because that's not moving the needle much this year. And having Gray, I mean that maybe they're an 80-win team, like they can play 500, but I'd be stunned if they won mid-80s.
Yeah, they're true. The San Diego route, where if everything falls into place,
exactly,
maybe make a run. If Dunning can take the next step, and Alexi or I think Taylor Hearn's got a shot. And we know we shouldn't be naming names now that could be taken. But
I do like Fred's just a recent pick of Eric Lauer. I couldn't take every Brewer pitcher with upside, so good job, Fred.
Yeah,
I
got fixed.
I mean, if he could be what he was last year, that would be amazing. I'm not totally expecting that, but that would be amazing. So
he's another guy I have to remind myself he's not 32 and injury prone. He's young. Yeah. He's young. He's growing. He's still maturing.
Guys, I am jumping on Sirius XM in a bit. Do you want to keep going while I'm on it, or should we close it up here?
Well, we can go. I need to get to bed. I got to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we can. They called me too, and I said I didn't. I actually just didn't reply because we were busy. So, maybe we'll wrap it up, and then we can both go on Sirius at some point.
Right. Well, hey, let's post the link one more time here, I'll post in the chat room. You can follow the draft here, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in and commenting. Really appreciate it there. We had a fun time with doing this. Hope you guys like the format. We went curiously long. We almost went 3 hours, so it's probably a good time.
It was almost Paul and Jason.
Yep. It's almost it's bedtime for you East Coast folks, although Todd's never asleep. So Even for Todd, it might be, but Fred and Jason actually have to work in the morning too. So probably a good time to sign off. So
I actually have to work in the morning. It's just starting at 11, not at 9.
well, we have a call tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So we got that too for Tout Wars. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks to WinBet for your sponsorship for the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. LABRcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day.
See you.